Hello, everybody. It's Flex Jones here. This is the Realness and Reality Talk Show Monday evening. We're going to do this every other Monday. Myself and Austin are doing this today. We are doing a live brother to brother. This is a trans man space. Brother to brother conversation. Invite all the trans men. So what we're getting ready to do right now is I'm going to send all of the invites to the brothers and the sisters that want to get in the conversation. We'll be talking about trans men topics, issues around the trans man community, as well as questions you may have regarding trans men. We're going to set the rules wide open for the brothers of color and our Caucasian, persuasion, constituent trans men as well. We want reality to be wanted to be here. We want to take it to that level. So I'm Flex Jones, and I'm waiting for my brother to come on as we proceed. Yes, indeed. Yes. So we're going to start this show. Give us a few moments. I ask everybody to please take a moment to play a little music, and let's start sharing these lives. This is one of those lives that not many people are able to do and have the freedom, because most of the brothers are working brothers, hard-working brothers, so it's hard for us to do a lot. But when we can, we do it. So I'm going to play a little music. Got it? Music. And we're going to start sharing some good stuff with each other in hopes that All right. Brother, can you hear me? I don't know if he can hear me. He's been acting up with his phone a little bit earlier. We're turning up the volume. Can everybody hear us okay? If so, give me a thumbs up. Austin, are you still there? I think. Can everybody hear me? All right, everybody hears me. Great. Austin's having problems with his cell phone. So here's the thing. You all that don't know me, that know me now, that for so long, people have said to me, just recently, Flex, I didn't know. I said, what is it you didn't know? And they say, you're trans. And you know, my face is like, how you not know? You've been on my Facebook for like 5 years, so didn't you figure it out? And they're like, no, I just thought you were very supportive, and I thought you were gay. You see my face? So I have to think about these things, because it's amazing how they thought I was gay. I'll give you a prime example. I want you guys to laugh with me. I go to Planet Fitness, and they're very, very LGBT friendly, very supportive to the trans community. They have a special bathroom for those who are uncomfortable. You know, they're uncomfortable changing in the dressing area. So with that being said, I saw the bathroom, and I thought it was for senior citizens or for elderly or people with a disability. And I said, you know, because I hate running to the bathroom. I'm just going to tell y'all that now. I said to the girl at the front, I said, you know, you didn't tell me I could have had a private bathroom. And she said, oh, no. That's for special occasions. I said, well, what's a damn special occasion? Because that's how I talk to people. She said, well, that's for people who are unique. I said, well, how unique you got to be to use the bathroom? And she said, well, it's for the LGBT. I said, gay men get their own bathroom? She said, no. I said, lesbians get their own bathroom? She said, no. I said, bisexual? She said, the transgender community. And she kind of whispered it, and I was just giggling, and I geeked. I went like this. I said, I'm me. That's me. And she said, will you stop playing with me? I said, no, I'm not playing with you. I said, I'm a trans man. And she didn't believe me. She says, no, you're not. She kept telling me, no, I'm not. Then when I showed her my picture, I said, well, look, I'm going to show you a picture I use to show everybody on Facebook my past and my present. She said that I was not me. I said, well, that's the purpose of transition. She still didn't believe me. So I actually pulled up my shirt and I said, there you go. She said, no, you could have had cancer and they could have had surgery on you. So I'm like, okay. You know, my dumb self. Okay. So we had a long conversation and we had a good 20 minutes of education. Just so many of you are aware that I take my time out to educate people that don't know who we are as a community. The girls are very visible, they're very much vocal. And so when we got to talking, I really shared the fact that, you know, a lot of the brothers are not because of other reasons, whatever reason they have. But, you know, we have our sisters, but we also have us here. So we're going to try to be Austin back on. I hope he can get back on. We're going to try it. All right. So I just said, you know, I just didn't think, I forget that people know who I am and know that I am who I am. So it is what it is. So I kind of laugh about it. I kind of laugh about it because Austin, we're having a hard time getting you on this live today. I don't know what the problem could be, but we're going to try again. It looks like it's not a. But I just think it's kind of it humors me. That makes me feel good. And is it an issue of being passable? No, for me, it's not. It just happens that that's how my body's evolving with testosterone. How I evolved for the past 40 years as a trans man. I was very masculine looking in my youth. I was always called a boy, so and I was intersex, so it's a lot different. I had more male testosterone, male DNA, all that stuff in my body, and I looked like a little butch queen or whatever you call it. I looked kind of feminine like. So I was always mistaken for um yeah, Rocky. To prove my tea is the funniest thing because people don't believe me. And I'm looking at them like how you don't, but then I have to think about it. I sometimes have to look at myself in the mirror and I tell myself I look good, so I guess that's what it is. I don't know. Um, I just think that for me, it's always been who I am. I never saw myself as he, she, it, they, whatever. I'm just Flex. I'm just me. And I live my life as I live my life. I live my life freely because I'm comfortable without conflict to myself and for the world. That's how I am. Um, and when I transitioned, I didn't really, I just sat back and asked myself, you know, what image of a man that, and this is what y'all got. Bald headed with some glasses on. I don't have my piercing on today. I had to give it a break. Got to clip some nose hairs, and you know that hurts. Some of you cis men know how it is to clip nose hairs, and that it can be very painful for the body because the nose is very sensitive. There he is. Are you on there, my brother?
Yeah, I'm hoping it stays. I don't know. My connection's kind of funky out here. I live in the woods, so
Okay. You need to go to McDonald's and use their Wi-Fi or something.
I got to drive 30 minutes to find a McDonald's. uh,
I was just talking about my experience of how many when I have to prove my transition or who I am as a trans man, how many people are telling me that I'm not a trans man, and I think it's hilarious in my own world because I'm like I'm telling you the truth, and they think I'm telling a lie, but it is what it is.
I happen to be on the opposite side of that. Usually, when people find out I'm transgender, the first thing that they will say is they'll make side comments that I won't make a pretty woman. So they usually think that I'm male to female trans, if that makes any sense. So they'll be like, "Oh, well, I wish you well, dear," and they kind of make side look like that would really make an ugly woman. and I get those comments. So, yeah,
That's kind of funny
there is
because
certain.
it's funny because I'll tell you a story. My father one day, he said, "You don't wear a dress ever." I said, "I can't wear a dress. It's just not for me." So one day it was his birthday, and I went to go see him, and I said, "I have a gift. I'm bringing it to you." And he said, "Okay, fine." So I showed up in a dress, and
Did you? I hope you saw my eyes open up really wide. Okay, go ahead.
yeah, I showed up in a dress, and for you all to laugh, I think it's funny too. He looked at me and he said, please, 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 take that dress off." I said, "Why? What's wrong?" He said, "You look like an ugly drag queen." He said, "You would not make, don't put a dress on. Don't do it. Don't even think about it anymore. Just leave it. Leave dresses alone. It just doesn't work for you." Brandon, bring my mic.
Yeah, well, I do. I wear sarongs, and I was out just recently in a sarong in a public place, and the little boy turns to his mother and says, "Look, that man's got a dress on." Mother just turned around and looked at me, and I said, "It's a sarong," and he goes, "Oh," he said, "I like that. I like that." He said the mother snatching him, like, to be quiet. He's like, so obviously what has happened is he has probably wanted to wear that or something like that, and so
Mm-hmm.
he's pointing out that there is a man with one on. Um, I think that the way that I represent who I am as a human
Mm-hmm.
is empowering for a lot of our youth. And I'm starting to notice a lot more about maybe gender non-conforming youth also will
Right.
look to me and be like, well, okay, because they point me out, well, he does it. Well, if he
Right.
does it, then it must be okay. Right.
You know, you say that because when I do shows, I'm a king performer, and I don't dress like a drag king. Like, I can't be a drag king. I'm no longer impersonating a man. I am a man. Um, a lot of my
Yeah.
shows now, that anything I do on stage, I'm wearing actually wedged heels and stuff that's very feminine like, and people are loving it. I mean, my tips have gotten better. I'm just going to say that my pay's gotten better, because I've actually softened up my style, because I embrace my feminine side as a trans man, because I know as a man, natural born man, a cisgender man, he embraces his feminine side and his masculine side in his own way. So I embrace mine as well at best. And for me, when I'm on stage, mine is being on stage with a throw over or something that kind of looks very flowing. And I'm still masculine on stage. I just like my feminine side. I've always
I'm
liked.
so glad you brought that up.
I mean, I let me say this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this to anybody out here listening right now. To transition, for me, I didn't get rid of the she. I just combined the he and the she and made them.
Yes.
Now we are
Yes.
we. We are we. Okay. The only thing I got
Right.
rid of with the she was what medicine did. Okay, this is what the
Right.
medicine does. And the negativity that I was carrying as a she, I let that, I shedded that, because I didn't want to be a negative man. I didn't want to be an aggressive
Right.
man. I didn't want to be a bold asshole man. You know, I wanted to be, I want to be happy. I want to be free of the stuff I was going through. So
Yeah. Yeah.
for me, I personally shedded a lot of negativity during my movement to be the man I am today. So I don't have a problem embracing my femininity. I don't have a problem embracing my domesticated side as well. You know, I like to clean house. I like to cook. I like to if I could
Damn.
sew, I would sew. I'm just saying, if I could sew, I could sew. So for me, um, as a trans man of color that's older, because I am an elder, I'm in my 56s. You know, I embrace all of me because I come from she, he, and now it's we. And we are making it together. And sometimes I guess people identify me as being a gay leather man or a gay man because I still carry my little flimsy hands around like this. But honestly, that's a part of who I am. I can't get rid of that, you know. But The women chase me and the men chase me, so I guess I am kind of sexy. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out if I'm still sexy or not. But um, I will say this to anyone that's watching this: what makes a man is the man
Let him
himself,
explain this to you. He said
not what
something.
society or what self desires it should be. That's how I feel.
Yeah, talk to him.
So for me, for me, I had to embrace all of me. I couldn't take half of me. There was no way I could take half of me. Yeah, I'm very metrosexual. I stand in front of the mirror and then stuff and shave for 3 hours and I pamper my body and my skin in the shower. I'm very metrosexual, so maybe that's why everybody calls me gay because I do what the gay boys do. But I like my body. I like to take care of my body. I like to take care of my body. You know, when the girls touch me, they say, "Oh, you soft." Yeah, I'm soft. I want you to keep touching on me. I'm just saying, keep touching. I'm just saying. Um, I just want to say this to anyone. What makes a man is the man himself. It's not what society says is the man. If you look at Asian men today, a lot of them are very feminine. You might want to call them gay. Sometimes they walk around, got their little hand on the hip and talk to you, whatever, and people say, oh, he's flamboyant. That's just how he is. What made him the man he is today is the man he is. The family doesn't say this makes it man or woman. What made him the man is he produced a child. That's the image there. That's all it is. So we have to acknowledge here in America, what makes a man is really himself. That's what makes a man. The image that he is to himself is the man that he is today. Now, if anybody want to argue with me about it, I don't have a problem with it. Don't have a problem with it. You know, um, by face value, beard, bald head, glasses, older, face value, I'm imaged as man. Because that's how society is conditioned, by image. We've been taught that for years. But honestly, my transition, um, I don't like to use the word binary and non-binary. I really don't, because for me, to be bound means you're stuck in one level. I'm not bound in any direction. I am living my truth. I am living me. I'm living Flex. I'm living he. I'm living Sir. That's who I am. I'm not bound by anything at all in my life. I don't consider myself to be bound. So I'm not living in a binary. To me, I'm not bound. And I'm not living non-binary or binary. I'm just living me. I'm living my life. And if being beard and mustache and bald and looking gendered male, or what idea of the image, that's what testosterone. I can't help it that hormones do what they do, because hormones gonna do what they're gonna do. So for me, I took the steps of medicine for myself, because the medicine really balanced me out. It balanced out some issues I had internally. And a lot of people don't realize that. Years ago, they used to call it gender identity disorder. That means your gender was out of order. So they took that away from us. But really, my gender was out of order. Because if I wasn't out of order, I would not be the man I am today. I would still be in gender female bodied. So when they took away gender identity disorder out of the books, it hurt my feelings, because I was really out of order. I was imbalanced. There was no balance. That's fine. I had no imbalancement. No imbalancement. I was imbalanced. But since I transitioned, I've become balanced. Because you all have no idea. When I lived as female, I was the worst female you find, with all the female qualities. I couldn't grasp them. That time of the month, I couldn't keep a job. I was crippled, completely crippled by estrogen. And estrogen was killing me. Um, a lot of things started to flow for me naturally without complications. So we're going to be on here for a while. This is every other Monday. First and third Mondays, we'll be talking brother to brother. We will bring folks on that want to come in and have conversation, talk about topics, ask questions, who, what, when, where. We're not going to talk about sexual issues because that's another topic on Blog Talk at Night because we can talk the way we want. I don't want Facebook to close us out. I don't want them to jump us off. So anybody that wants to come on, ask a question, please let me know. Put a thumbs up, clap your hands, say me, say something, and we could talk about anything you want to talk about. Oh, my back, I'm getting old, y'all. Oh, I'm sitting the wrong way, Jesus. But I think I lost Austin again. His phone is acting up on him. Is there anybody that wants to come on? Please let me know. I want you all to come on. Don't let me talk all day because, you know, if I talk, I'll go to sleep because I haven't had a cocktail yet. So if there's anyone that has questions regarding, you know, transition or anything, feel free to chime in. Feel free to chime in. Hello, James. I see you came in. Nisha's here. Wendy's here. Rocky's here. Who else is here? I think Dana is here. The King is here, and Positive is here as well. If anybody has anything you want to talk about or bring in, say anything, feel free to let me know. You know, Rocky, you did say something that was hilarious that I had to prove my tea. I do it often, and it's kind of crazy. Miss Hicks is here. Charlie Brown, thank you for coming through. Wendy's here. Appreciate it. Mama Denise is here. I'm quite sure Mama Denise has some questions she wants to ask, and I want her to come on. I wish she would let me know if she wants to come on. LaShaw is here. James is here. Anybody want to come on? Because you know I'll put you on blast real quick. Ari's here. Anyone else want to come on? Any questions, any concerns? Any questions you have to ask? I mean, that's what we're here for today, to share this live with you all. Hey, sister. She's not. Somebody keeps putting thumbs up, but I don't know if you want to come on. I don't know who that is. Wendy, did you, yes, I do read the comments, Wendy. I do. I'm doing two things at once. That's why you got bifocals on, so I could see you and I could do a live at the same time. So, Wendy, did you want to come on real quick? Sister, do you want to come on? J-Lo, do you want to come on? She'll probably say no. Because if you guys have any questions, that's what we're here for. We're here to share because we care. Let's see. What else about... I want you all to understand that not every trans man comes from the lesbian community. I just happen to be one of the statistics. I was a married cisgender woman in my day that, well, at that time was cisgender. Married 3 times. I did miscarry. So if you have those questions and concerns, I was glad I miscarried. And people said, wow. Yeah, I was glad. Because I didn't feel a child should be in my life with me trying to find myself. I didn't know it was transgender that I was. I didn't even have an idea of it. In my day, it wasn't even a word. It was either cross-dresser, transvestite, or transsexual. My day is great. My day is great. But for me, I was fine being who I was. I thought it was a sexual issue. I thought I was having some sexual confusion going on in my life. So I was dating and having sex with the world. Yes, I was. It was the worst thing to do, but I was doing it because I thought it was a sexual problem. Austin, you might have to sign out and come back in. How did I feel with everything changing? I felt normal. Everything for me, it was just because I was so like this. As soon as I began to transition, it was like just came together. The she and the he they started to fuse together and became we, and it felt very comfortable. I didn't have any problems, any complications. Um, it just happened. It just like it's like I woke up the next morning and I was Flex. If you can understand where I'm coming from, um, the changing, it was natural. I mean, yes, I was skinny like my sister that's on here. I was skinny like she was, and she's asking all these questions. She knows. I was skinny, and I was only 85 to 90 pounds. Now, if y'all see my pictures lately, I'm 149. I'm a big boy now. Um, so the only difference that I was dealing with was growing pains. My muscles were recreating themselves around my bone. As you know, the bone tissue and the muscles, they both work together. And your muscles are attached to some bones. So as my muscles were growing and fusing together, it was painful. I was going through what they call growing pains. But that's something that little boys go through when they are maturing out of their muscles are growing around what was frail and is becoming stronger. I mean, I had growing pains. But as I transitioned, I felt really cool. I mean, I was good to go. I didn't have any problems with myself. I had problems with the world, but you know, who's gonna pay your bills but the world? I'm paying my own bills. So I was, hey Michaela, I was really being strong and just doing what I had to do for my own well-being. This was for my well-being. A lot of it was that
Here I am.
if I didn't
Back.
transition, I would have committed suicide. I tried to commit suicide 3 times, and it was not successful. So after the third time, I realized I was wasting all that energy in the worst way. And when I became involved with my medical, this before I had my medicine, I started having my medicine, the testosterone, that stopped because now I began to feel comfortable with myself. You know, I was really going through a lot of changes, but otherwise, I'm doing good. I'm doing real good. And I'm going to live another 125 years. So y'all got to catch up with me. Austin, you
I
still
know that's
there?
right. Yeah, I'm trying to get my stuff to work here. It's just I realize what the problem is. I'm probably gonna have to hook up to another Wi-Fi network, but I'm gonna try to see if I can make this work. I wanted to something you had mentioned earlier that I just wanted to speak on for a second. Uh, you were talking about how you present when you go places.
Right.
Uh, right. And so one of the things that I notice is, especially, well, for me being, see, for you, and I don't know, like, we don't like to judge our look or how we look, you know, if we're some people use that word passing and how one person is looking, you know, if you're looking trans enough or male enough. But one of the things that I realize is that it's important to for me, it I was able to transition.
You're breaking up again. So, Sister Girl, you said I should have also said mentally. Mentally, I was good. I think we lost Austin again. Mentally, my
That
transition
I
was
was
good. It was
comfortable.
really good. You're back on. We lost you. You broke up. Austin, you're breaking up.
Breaking up.
Yeah, you still we lost them again. Breaking up. Um, you said mentally. Mentally, I was staying. I became stable, and my bipolar, as I was became comfortable with who I was, where I was, because when I started realizing something was different, I realized that maybe this is what it is. When a doctor told me that actually what the problem is, you're intersex and your body is imbalanced with its own self. And I said, how do you become imbalanced with your own self? She said, it happens. There are many like you. And I said, many like me? Are we a species? I thought I was like the best white hope or the best horse coming up through I was like, I'm going to be trotting through the neighborhood tomorrow. I'm the best. I'm the last soul survivor. That's how I felt. And so when I started the transition and started with the medicine, that's when things start working for me. And mentally, it helped me become stable with me. It helped me begin to accept who I was, where I was in life, and accept that these changes had to happen for me. Because mentally, I was bipolar, suicidal depressant. Um, they call it something with a temper, because I would pick up a baseball bat and just throw it at you. I would hit you with a bat. If you looked at me wrong or said something to me, I would fume up, hold it, and then beat you. So it helped me from being violent and all that other crazy stuff. Um, and so that's what it helped me mentally. And then it allowed me to focus and empower myself and change things around me, because mentally that's what happened, but financially, emotionally, physically, all that allowed me to be who I am today, allowed me to step aside from people that are negative. I began involved with meditation, that I became a Buddhist, and being Buddhist also helped me enhance who I am as a person. It allowed me to look at myself in a different perspective. So sometimes being spiritual within your transition, for many, being spiritual, doesn't matter how well you do it, it can help you as a person in life, whoever you are, cisgender, gay, LGBT, alphabet soup, whatever, non-binary, binary, however you want to use it. It can help you being spiritually enlightened and be spiritually within here. It can help you with a lot. And once you begin to find out who you are, you can just flow. It just like water, just flow. So that's how it helps me. You know, that's how it helped me. But the testosterone was just a better deal. And there's sometimes I still forget my shot. I'll say it. But because my testosterone level was so high, I don't need my T-shot. Like I used to have a T-shot every 2 weeks. And I was on a high dosage. So for me, it's different. It's different. Hello, Mama D. You want to come on and ask some questions? I'm quite sure you got a few. Anybody else? Miss Hicks, you said you want facial hair. Well, that comes with the testosterone, but you got to shave every day. And those of you that know me, I shave every day. This happened. Now, one of the downfalls of being trans is you can begin to have receding hairline. Well, mine wasn't a receding hairline. I did a cleansing process during, it's called a cleansing process in Hinduism. And I did a cleansing process and I shaved my head and I kept shaving my head. But no one said to me that if you keep shaving your head, the shit might not grow back. So I was trying to grow it back and it didn't grow back. So instead of me having a George Jefferson, you know, a whole bunch of hair here and a hole there, I just keep cutting it because it don't work. It's a no-no for me. I'll just have to get a toupee or something and put it on my head and make it look good, you know, something like that. But yeah, it's just bald now, and it had nothing to do with the testosterone. I had a beautiful coat of hair, yes. It was wavy and it was growing, and I cut it and kept cutting and cutting, and I cut the follicles, and now I'm bald. But everyone says they like the bald, and I wish I could find somebody to rub my bald and make me feel special and love me, but one day it'll happen. But at 56, if I have to be a bachelor till 125, it'll be okay. So please share this live. Remember, this is brother to brother. This is conversation. Who, what, when, why. Trans man conversation. Realistic reality here at 6 o'clock. And any questions you all have, feel free to let me know you have a question or you want to talk to me about it. Let's do this. I mean, this is your time to be educated and educate your family and friends. The only way that you're going to get to know the trans men is that we're visible and we're talking to you all and giving you that information. You know a lot about the girls. I know that because you see all their lives, you see them talking, you see them wide open, you see them there. Now you need to know some about the guys. And if I have to be the one to stand up and do something for the guys and give them that space, that's what this is for. So that the brothers can come in and share with each other and share with you information that many of you don't really know about or hear about. So I want you all to ask those questions. Feel free to ask as many questions as you want. And if you're a brother that's on the live and you know some brothers that need to be on live, share this with them. Share this with your mama, your daddy, your sister, your cousin, whoever it may be that you want to share this with. Please do. I want you to share this. Um, just remember that this is information. I will tell you now that we will not discuss genitalia. We will not discuss um, sex on here because if we do, Facebook is going to turn around and cock block me, and I'm not having it this week. I've already had enough of cock block in the past months. So, those of you that want, feel free to share this. I want you to share this. I dare you to share this. I challenge you to share this. Right now, I want everybody to share this all over the Facebook for me. Anyone that want to come on, feel free to come on. I might just pull one of you all out the hat. Let's see. Kamani Black, do you want to come on and have conversation? Anybody on here want to have conversation? Let's see what we have. My sister girl doesn't want to comment. She's shy. Anyone else that wants to come on, send me an invite or just let me know you want to come on. I would love for y'all to come on. King, would you like to come on the live and have conversation? We could talk about healthcare. We could do that as well. There's some things that some people aren't aware. I'm going to send it, and if you don't want it, then because there is one thing a lot of people don't understand, that TRANSMAN healthcare is a very important thing. Um, and I stress healthcare because we were born female body and we still have female anatomy parts and pieces. And those parts and pieces need to have regular checkups. At my age, the subject is trans men, who, what, where, and why. Um, and we're talking about whoever, whatever, why. That's where we're going with this. This is an open floor for the brothers to have discussion with those who are interested in knowing about who we are. We have many trans women doing lives and talk about trans women, but we don't have enough trans men. So this is a trans man space where we invite people to come on and learn from us. It's time. And I'm making that space. I'm making my platform right now, using my platform that I always do, my public speaking, for folks to come on and have conversation. Like me, I'm at age 50 and I just had a colonoscopy. That was very interesting. They put me to sleep. I woke up. It was like I had a dream. Like they just knocked me out for 5 minutes. They put me to sleep, but then I eat healthy. Um, and the doctor said my colon was so clean and healthy at my age. He's like, what do you do? I said, I eat nuts and prunes. Nuts and prunes. I eat a low cholesterol diet. I do this. I gave him the whole runaround. He looked at me like, who are you? And I said, the reason I do this, doc, is because the testosterone, and he and I had a real good conversation. I said the testosterone could cause me to have high blood pressure, diabetes, and also cholesterol levels, and could also cause blood clots. And he was like, shoot, you know your stuff. I said, well, I've been doing this for 40 years. And I knew when I was unhealthy, I knew some things I had to change. My diet, had to get away from gluten, had to get away from milk, had to get away from a cornmeal. Do y'all know how unhealthy cornmeal is? They put it in everything you eat. They started that during the Depression so that people would get fat and feel full. Cornmeal is not good. Good is good for you, but not in everything you eat. Everything you eat's got cornmeal. Have y'all ever looked at that? Even the dog's food got cornmeal in it. So y'all got to check out your food. Be healthy with what you're eating. Trans men too, you got to be healthy with what you're eating. Too much of too much can really kill you. You know, they used to say that in the day. Too much of too much can really kill you, and it's true. But as trans men, we have to watch what we eat. We have to exercise. We really do. Our body metabolism goes up because testosterone jacks up your metabolism like this. When you're on estrogen, you kind of slow down. So that's okay, King. We'll get you another day. You try to slow down. So when you with our metabolism going up, we need to eat and keep up our blood circulation, exercise, make sure our blood is flowing the right way. Do you all know that I take, on top of every day, I take 8 pills a day, supplements, vitamins a day that help my body be where it is today. Help me get through what I'm getting through every day. Keeps me healthy. It really does. But that's my choice. But I do it because I need to be healthy. Right. High fructose, syrup, all that stuff is not good for you. It's not good for you at all. Ed is on here. All right. So I have to be healthy about my wellness. And at 56, I think I'm doing good. Because some of you all think I'm not 56. You think I'm 32. And I'll take 32 all day long. I will wear it front, back. I'll dance in it, swim in it, take a naked shower in it. I don't care. I'll take the 32 all day long. All day long. So I accept the 32. But yeah, I just want you all to know that we have to be healthy, and because of the healthiness, it's the biggest thing. You said you didn't know that Roma. I've been 100 pounds forever. Seriously, I've been the same size since high school. I'm about to be 35 this month. Well, what you need to do is keep that exercise going, number one, and watch a lot of the foods that you're eating. But that cornmeal is going to kill you. I bet you if you stop eating a lot of bread, gluten, cornmeal, a lot of sweets. I use only pure cane sugar for anything that I use. Honey, guava. I don't use anything else other than that. I don't use anything that's bleached or even Splenda. I don't even trust Splenda. I use cactus. They have cactus sugar as well. Cactus honey. I use that. A lot of I tell people this. Your body is a natural organism. It's a natural organism. So if you're putting synthetic materials into the body, you're going to kill the body. You got to put natural with natural. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Micaiah, come on through. Come on through. We're adding someone. Come on through. Well,
Hey,
how are you?
what's going on, Flex? How you doing, man?
How you doing, big guy?
Hey, man, I can't complain, man. I can't complain.
Well, welcome to the house. This is Brother to Brother. We're
I
going to
appreciate
share
it.
with people
Yeah,
any questions, any concerns. We go in there. We're
I
going to
appreciate it.
educate people. That's what this space is for.
Absolutely. I appreciate you for having me, Flex. I've been kind of
No
following you
problem.
bit by bit when I'm not at work. Like today's my off day, so I just happen to be on here and you're on here. So it's good to finally get in and get a chance to talk to you. I mean, a trans guy like you is really inspirational for a trans guy like me. I'm not young, but I'm not old. I'm in that gray area where I'm too old to be young and too young to be old, kind of. But you're but you're really inspirational for guys like me because of your age. And no offense to that, but that's a beautiful legend that you've set in stone for cats that came after you like myself. I've only been transitioning now for 9 years. And you were talking about healthcare and things of that nature. And it is very difficult for trans guys out here just to get hormone therapy. Um, my situation is crazy. I started transitioning, like I said, about 8, 9 years ago. And then about 3.5 years ago, I became positive. So, that's a whole nother story, but I'm totally fine with that. I mean, I'm comfortable with the skin I'm in. I'm very healthy. I'm undetected. I have been for years now. But thankfully, within that demise, I was grateful enough to be able, because I'm self-employed. I'm a barber, and insurance is not an option. And if it is, it's extremely expensive.
Right.
So I had to kind of go through the state and all that kind of crap. But the beautiful thing about it is, thankfully, thank God for this, is that they do allow, they do I have a primary care doctor, and so they take care of all my medical needs. But surgeries are very, very far few in between if you do not have that insurance thing, or you have to pay out of pocket, and it's extremely expensive. And so yeah, I'm with you. I'm real big on, if you got it, man, and you're doing this, and you like I tell a lot of younger trans guys younger than me. First of all, be sure what you're doing. Do your research. Do your homework. Get information.
Right.
Make sure this is what you want to do, because it's not reversible, number one, and number two, it is a very expensive journey. It's not just mental or physical; it's financial as well. So you have
It's a livelihood. It's a
Absolutely.
livelihood. This is why I try to tell people this is not a lifestyle. A style and a lifestyle is a choice. We didn't make a choice. We made a decision.
I said that.
We made a decision.
Yeah.
This was not a choice.
Yeah.
We made a decision to either live or die.
Or die.
For many of us, it's a life or death sentence. The choice we made was to live or die, and we made the decision to live. It is not a choice.
I'm telling you.
I didn't make this choice. I didn't wake up and say, I'm going to be a man. No, I said, something wrong with me. I'm killing myself. I'm doing shit. I'm doing stuff I don't need to do, and I need to see a doctor. And when the doctor told me what the problem was, she said, either you could do this or this. And I said, well, I don't want all the drugs. I don't want bipolarism drugs. I'm a naturalist. So what else can I do?
That kills me when they're so quick to blame it on mental illness. I'm not mentally. I'm very sane in my choice that I'm making. You know what I'm saying? Like I know what the fuck I feel, bro. Like you can't tell me that, oh, you're just going through a phase. So I've been phasing since 2. Oh, okay. So people came from monkeys. Why are they still monkeys? I'm just saying, when is it gonna end? But it's because I say this all the time, and I've said this in other groups before. At the end of the day, it's like this. What people don't know, they don't understand. What they don't understand, they fear, and what they fear, they try to destroy. And a lot of that destruction comes from stipulations and name calling or wording something that they have no understanding about. So they just put this stigmata on you and say, oh, you're mentally unstable. No, I'm not. What I am trying to do is find myself. Well, at the time, I'm trying to find myself, and you motherfuckers is not helping me. You want to pump me full of mental pills and shit, and it ain't gonna do but make me worse. Then I'm gonna fuck around and jump off a bridge, and Lord forbid. And I do a lot of TDOR out here in Houston, Texas, and it's so sad to me that 60% of the Transgender Day of Remembrance are suicides. Well, I'm gonna say 40, and the rest are homicides. But the sad part is the suicide part. And it's all because that person couldn't find that tone in their soul to match with what they were looking at. And so I hate that the world is so jaded and blinded and won't give it a chance, or I'll just listen. Just listen.
You know, I wrote an article. I wrote an article, and I wrote it and I said that, and in the article I stated that the murder is dysphoria.
It is.
Dysphoria is what's killing us. Even down to our sisters risking their lives to be where they are in their life and doing the things they do. Dysphoria is causing them to face death matters.
In order to get what they need to be done. So
it's dysphoria that's killing us. It's killing me. It's killing my sisters. It's what's killing us. That's the murderer here. And if they could figure out that dysphoria is, if they could realize it, really, society could see that dysphoria is the problem.
It's huge. It's a big issue.
We wouldn't have all this BS going on.
Absolutely.
We wouldn't have all this BS going on.
Absolutely.
The murderer is dysphoria. Haven't y'all seen it? The word is dysphoria.
Dysphoria, yeah.
And so
trust me, brother. Trust me, brother. I have dysphoria still because I haven't had top surgery yet. So,
let me tell you about that. Let me tell you about that. Let me tell you about that. I had my top surgery 2016. Been about 2 years now.
Okay.
Now y'all know I've been doing this for 40-something years. It took me that long to get my surgery.
Yeah.
And I had to, I fell on the job, not on purpose.
Right.
And I settled out, and that paid for my surgery. I'm gonna tell it like it is. My mother is in agreement with my top, my whole
So is my mother. Yes, so is my mother and my father.
And so my mother calls me and says, "How'd you get the money?" Well, I put half the money in the savings. To get
of course.
I said, "Well, I put it in. I had savings account, Mom. You don't tell your mom everything."
Nah.
And she said, "What savings account?" I've been saving up money. Yeah, I saved up that money.
They don't think we can, bro. They don't think we can, bro.
I said I saved up that money, so I went right to the bank, took back out half that money.
Yeah.
Because I saved it.
Yeah.
I did save it.
You did save it. You didn't say how long.
So
sure.
to make a long story short, when I got that money, I wouldn't have had my surgery.
Right. Okay.
But people don't understand. When I first went to the first doctor, he was Caucasian, and I live in North Carolina, and he probably didn't want to deal with me.
Right.
You know what he said to me? And he probably could have pushed me off the cliff had I not have a strong will to ignore his ass.
Right.
Ignore his ass.
Right.
He told me that there was no way that they could do the surgery here in my area, which I knew was a lie.
So y'all can put titties. Let me not even. Okay, never mind.
Which I knew was a lie. Okay, yeah, so you can put titties on somebody, but you can't take my titties off.
Come
But
on,
y'all can operate on somebody.
Off a neck.
Wait. But y'all can operate on somebody who has cancer, but you can't operate on me.
They can operate on a damn dog, Flex, and they can't operate on us. You understand what I'm saying? So I feel you, brother. I feel you. I'm right here with you, dog. That's just plain foolishness, man.
So what I'm saying is, they turned around. He had the nerve to tell me, well, you're going to have to go somewhere else. And I said, the only places to go is an hour and a half away, and I don't want to go an hour away. And we got the medical field right here in Winston-Salem. Why do I have to go to Raleigh? Why do I have to go to Charlotte? Why do I got to go to Atlanta? Why I got to go out of state? Why I got to go to Florida? We're right here. This guy had me so down and out that I may never have this surgery.
Yeah.
Then I said, well, can you find if there's a doctor in the area?
Right.
Now, had I been a weak trans man or someone really going through it,
right,
in the first 5 years or 6 years, like you right now, 8 years,
right,
I probably would have went home and committed suicide.
Probably, because that's how real that dysphoria is, brother. It's that real.
It was so sad that I left home. I'm gonna tell y'all the secret. Y'all ain't never seen me cry before, but that day I cried, and I sat in the car and I said, "This MF is lying. I know better. I know better." So then another doctor came in and he said, "I can do the surgery." Right. I said, wait a minute. First one guy said no, and the other one saying yes. So I called my first surgeon. Yes, I gave my money to a black surgeon who's had 30 more years more than anybody in this state. And I went to him and I said, "You're going to do my surgery. I don't care what it costs." Yeah. And he looked at me and he said, "What do you want?" I said, "This is what I want." He said, "You got it." I said, "Thank you."
See?
So I'm going to tell y'all right now, I ain't giving my money to no white. I said it, no white doctor for my top surgery.
They out of there. That's crazy, man. But it's
because nobody would know my skin, my body better than a man of color. And this man, is top notch in the state of North Carolina. But
what's
nobody
his name,
gives
Flex?
him the work because Dr. Truesdale, Gerald Truesdale.
Okay, I'm gonna look him up because
Greensboro, North Carolina. Girls, if you need a good surgeon, Dr. Truesdale. His name is Dr. Truesdale, Gerald Truesdale in Greensboro, North Carolina. Cool. This man is the baddest black. He teaches in Atlanta. He goes down there and teaches sometimes.
Oh wow. Okay. I'm gonna have to check him out because the only closest doctor. Well, they just recently they had one guy come to Houston. I seen some of his work, and he white guy, and my issue, my concern, my biggest concern is because our skin tends to keloid really, really bad. Especially if it runs in your family. So
I got a little bit of right here.
Okay. Especially if it runs in your family.
But I'm okay with that.
But I saw this white guy's work. I went to go do a consultation with him. Funny shit. He's at Methodist out here in Houston. Finally got out here I guess he's been out here about 2 years. I want to check them out. I just want to see. He's like, yeah, so let me show you some pictures here. Let me show you some of my work. I was like, okay, cool, And I opened the book, bro, and I shit you not. I thought it was the Little Shop of Horror, how he was just butchering, just cutting cross. And I was like, bruh, am I having heart surgery or a mastectomy? Because damn, like it was just so bad. It was just so bad. So the closest doctor that I can truly say I can actually trust because I've seen their work, he's done 2 of my brothers, is Dr. Doolin, who's in Plano, Texas. And he does kind of specialize in people of color because that's most of his clients. And he does really, really good work. So I'm just trying to get a feel for it, number one, trying to see where I want to go because this is forever. You know what I mean? And I don't want to take my shirt off and my nipples look like Cookie Monster's eyes, one up here and one down here. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, you know what I mean? So that's always a big concern for me, too.
See, mine, mine are, I'm a little short guy, so I
I
was
am
like,
too. Don't feel bad.
because somebody said to me when I had my top surgery, they said, "Well, why are your nipples way up there?" I said, "Because I work out, and when I finish working out, they need to be up there."
Yeah, looking at your motherfucker.
Right. And they were like, "I don't get it." I said, I know my doctor. My doctor knows my body.
Right,
I already had pecs for him to work with.
right,
So
right,
my
right.
pecs were already built up. So he
Gotcha.
had to take the tissue out. But he didn't do a skin graft. He didn't skin graft my nipples back on. He just basically
Okay.
put them back up there.
Right.
So, I wanted them. Now I could have had them lower, but he put them where
Yeah.
I want them at. I'm okay with
Right.
my surgery.
Right.
I chose
Right.
what I want.
Gotcha.
And I'm
Gotcha.
okay with what I want. So
Gotcha.
I don't care what nobody got to say. I mean, I
Keep it
have the
bumping.
scarring.
Yeah.
I do have my scarring, but it's gonna. I mean, I got scarring here too. It's gonna
Yeah.
disappear in time.
Well, see,
But it's
I
only
think
2 years old.
I think that the scarring is actually a pivotal point for your surgery. I mean,
Yes,
it's kind of
yes.
it tells your story. So I wouldn't be
You
upset about
know,
the scarring. You know what I'm
let me
saying?
tell you something. Every time somebody sees it, they go, "Oh my God, that looks good." I'm like, okay.
Right.
Look.
Right.
I get a hard on when they tell me I look good.
That's how it's supposed to be, though, bro. Because I mean, again,
I get excited when they
you've
tell me.
come a
I'm
long
like,
way. You know what I'm
woo.
saying? Yeah, absolutely. Because you've come a long way, brother. And I take my hat. I'm not gonna keep you long because I gotta go cook something to eat in a minute. But you've come a long way. And again, I really wanted to get on here, especially for sure, to let you know that I have been watching you. We've kind of connected a little bit on Facebook, but really haven't had a chance to talk. But you are definitely a huge inspiration to me, Flex, honestly.
You're
And
welcome.
your voice is it might not be heard by everybody, but for the small people like myself, I hear you and I see you and I follow you because it's important that you have information that I need to know. And so continue doing your works, brother. Don't be discouraged. You know what I mean? Continue to put your voice out there for us, not just for you, for all of us. You know what I mean?
Right,
Because you are a representation of the whole body. We are a body. We have our
right.
arms, we have our legs, we have our fingers, we have our toes, we have our hearts, we have our brains. And you are definitely a pivotal part of the body of trans community. So stay with it, brother. Stay with it, and I'm with you, man.
Well, I intend to stay with it until I'm 100. I said 125 about 15 years ago. Till I'm 225
There you
and
go.
keep my legacy going. This
Hey,
is
well,
my
look,
legacy.
whatever
I
you
want you all to carry on where I drop off at.
absolutely,
But
absolutely,
I
and whatever
need
you
y'all to do that.
I'm here with you, brother. And whatever you drinking, can you UPS something to a brother? That's all I'm saying.
Oh, you got to get you some Jaeger and some pineapple juice and you'll
See,
be all right.
already. See, I'm a down south dude, so I do Hennessy. So I mix it up in that right there.
I can't do Hennessy. I'll fall asleep. I'll be a drunk. I can't
Yeah.
do that.
It's all good.
Y'all
brother,
don't
but
want me to look stupid.
no, I don't want that
But
for
I
you, big bro.
appreciate you, man. I appreciate you.
Absolutely, man.
Stay in touch. You know
I
where to
will, man.
find me.
I will,
You know,
man.
if you got any questions,
That's my
concerns,
promise.
just holler at me, man. I don't
I will.
sleep. Everybody calls me.
Got you. I got you. That's my word, brother.
I sit and watch TV and I'll be like, oh, somebody calling. Okay. Well, I have to get TV demand. I gotta get Spectrum demand because I miss all my TV shows.
Because you're on the
Everybody
phone.
call me.
Because you're on the phone. Yeah, it'd be like that, brother.
I
But I
watched
appreciate
I watched Pose 4 times last night when it aired because I keep missing it.
You can't never, yeah. And see, I'm just now on Peaky Blinders. I'm checking that out. That's pretty good, brother. Check that out.
Yeah.
Peaky Blinders on Netflix. Check that out. All right, brother.
I love you, brother. Be good,
Love you,
be
man.
real.
I
Stay
will,
still.
man. Appreciate it.
All right.
I am. Appreciate it, bro.
All right.
Peace.
Peace. See, I love that when the people bring the love to me. I love all you. Keep sharing this. We got one more coming through. Kimberly. Kimberly. Are you ready, Miss Kimberly? Ooh, sunlight in the house. Yes, yes. Anybody else want to come on with this is Transman Space, but you can ask questions. You can in who, what, when, and where, and why. That's what we're here. Because you girls get it all the time. You share all your information. This is time for us to share. This is time for us. Share it with trans men. Share it in groups. Share it everywhere. I'm going to be here for a while, maybe till about 7:45. I have a meeting at 8 o'clock. So please, everyone, share this. If you want to come on and chime in and talk, I want you to come in and chime in and talk. Kimberly, I'm trying to invite you to come on, but for some reason, Facebook doesn't even want 13 people to be on my Facebook. But that's okay, Facebook. I got you. I got you. I got other avenues called YouTube. You like that? Apples. So Yeah, but like it was great to have him on. It makes me feel good when I know young men are watching me. Now I gotta act like I'm normal. And sometimes I have to act like I'm normal. See, okay, Kimberly, I can't get you on. Go back off, Kimberly, and come back in if you can do that, and that might work. So, so for some of you that are just coming and arriving, this is live. Alex Jones and my brother Austin was on there earlier, but he was having technical difficulties. And this is actually brother to brother communication. This is where we're coming together as brothers. We're talking, sharing, and we allow everyone in our space so you can learn more about us, who we are, where we're going forward, how we're doing in our lives, how we're creating our lives to be where we are. Because you hear a lot about the girls, you hear about the troubles and the heartaches they have, but now you get to hear more about who we are. We're not as visible because a lot of us are working. We can't do so, or we're in situations where we can't be visible. But I'm a visible person. As you all know, I'm wide open. My mother said somebody else could do my work, but I'm going to do my own work. So we're going to try one more time. Let's try Marlon. Marlon, you ready to come on? Let's see if you can pop right on. For some reason, Facebook is acting up, doesn't want anybody to come on the live. I don't know what the problem is, but we're going to make it work. If you can't get on and I keep sending an ad to you, it's blinking. Marlon, would you take that? I sent it to you. If you can't get on, pop back off, pop back on.
Hello?
Marlon, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. What is this about?
This is brother to brother communication. This is a TRANSMAN space. If you have any questions, any concerns, anything you want to talk about around our TRANSMAN community, feel free to do so. We're giving awareness and sharing to others what they desire to hear.
Oh, well, I got the phone cover because like my Facebook is blocked,
Okay, well, we
and
hear you, so you can talk.
I'm on I'm on the run for murder, and I'm kind of scared, man. So maybe
Okay,
we
well,
can talk
just
about
talk.
that.
Let's just talk.
We can talk about that.
Marlon, are you a trans man?
Yeah.
And you're running from the law?
Yes, because I'm scared how to be in jail, and my circumstances are, man. Like,
So,
what you think?
do you have an attorney that's representing you or no?
Not yet.
Have you tried to acquire one?
No, actually, I just left. I just,
So you left into another state, Marlon?
yeah. Yes, I went to another
Okay,
state.
so you're hibernating right now. Can you
Yeah.
Marlon, do me a favor? After we get off with you, I'm not going to stay on with you because I don't want nobody to know what's going on and nothing like that. Later on tonight, can you send me a Facebook message?
All right, most definitely, man. I'm just scared of being a trans man to go to
I know
jail.
it's hard. I have been in jail for a ticket, and that was minor. But even 24 hours is a frightening thing. And I know what you're going through, and it is not easy because we are feared. We fear our lives because we could be killed, we could be murdered, we can even be raped as trans men in jail. And people don't understand that. Marlon, I want to talk to you tonight, and I definitely want to have a one. If you can hit me up within another hour, can you do that on Facebook?
Yes, I will.
Okay. And I will send me a private message and I'll send you my personal phone number.
All right.
Okay. So we can get you some help. All right.
All right.
All right, Marlon. I love you, man. Stay positive, stay cool, and hit me up so I can send you my personal phone number.
All right, I definitely will.
All right, Marlon. Thank you. Y'all bear with me. Bear with me for 1 second right now. Some of you just saw that, and bothers me the most is knowing that I have trans brothers out there that are going through things that nobody understands. The heartache. I mean, this young man is scared for his own freaking life. And it's a life that it's already hard being who we are as transgender people. And to know that this young man is facing something and he's scared of it and he can't even get help and doesn't know what to do, it hurts me more than you'll ever know. I know what he's going through. I had a ticket, and I was lucky because my family, where it happened, my family worked in the police department, so I was blessed. He's not blessed right now. So I want you all to send a lot of positive energy and pray for him right now. If you pray, if you're Buddhist, if you're Hindu, whatever, send him positive energy right now. I'm going to talk to him tonight. I want to get in touch with him. I want to have communication with him. And I want to find help for him because right now he is in a predicament. And I'm here for my brothers, whatever way I can do. And we're all connected somehow, some way. So I'm going to try to see if I can get him connected with the right people so that he's a little bit more at ease than scared. He is like a rabbit in a rabbit hole right now. And to know my brother is going through this, it bothers me. I wish he could sit here with me right now and I know he's okay. I'm afraid for him. I'm afraid he'll take his life. I'm afraid someone might kill him. I'm afraid he may get picked up and then they put him in jail and they kill him or something. They treat our trans community really rough in jail, and our trans men get it even worse. So just please send Marlon positive, positive, positive energy. Throw it out there to him. Send your prayers to him. These are the things that you all need to hear. You need to understand. It hurts me. I mean, even, Malachi was talking about being positive. Some of us are HIV positive now because we're interacting with people. I see so much going on with my young brothers. It scares me. It hurts me. It scares me. And some of you haven't seen me cry, but I can't help it. I just can't help it. It's okay. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm focused, but I'm back. I just want y'all to send in positive energy. That just took me 5 steps back. Please share. Please share. Please share. Please share. Please share. Please share. Please, please, please share. Please share. Please. And we're going to find him an attorney. We're going to find him help. We're going to find whatever we can for this young man and many others. We have people that are trans men that are in jail now. If y'all don't know the Kai Peterson story, you better learn now because we've got trans women in jail, trans men in jail, and they're being treated like dogs that don't even need to be in this earth. They're treated rudely and disrespectfully. And some of our brothers end up transitioning and their paperwork is male going into the male prison system. They are being raped, they're getting beat up. I mean, a lot of things are going on. So I need you all to send that positive energy to all our trans brothers because a lot of people aren't aware that our trans brothers are facing a lot. They're just not aware that they're facing a lot. If anybody else want to come on, feel free to come on. Please do. That's just something, and I will keep you all posted. I will keep you all posted on what's going on with Marlon. I'm going to send him a private message and get him started. And come on, this is brother to brother conversation, talking about trans men, what we go through, who we are, what, when, and why. Anyone want to come on and have conversation, ask questions, I'm here for it. This is TRANSMAN Space. Austin had technical difficulties, so he's not able to be on so we can get him back. But we're gonna make this until 7:45 because I want to get up with Marlon because he's having some issues right now. Made in Detroit, how are we doing? But as you all seen, we go through a lot. We go through a lot as trans men because we don't speak about it because you all don't hear about it. Let me tell you why you don't hear about it. Many of us don't have our documentation switched over to mail. Not all, many. And just like the trans women, some of them don't have their documentation switched over to female. And some of them don't even have their name change. But a lot of our trans men have their name change. The one thing about name changes, a lot of y'all are aware of, that are probably watching this, is that with name changes, you have to have a federal investigation and all that kind of stuff with your name change. You file it in your state, then they do this whole national BS to make sure we're not criminals running from the law, or to make sure that we are, not terrorists or, pedophiles or anything of the sort. And if a red flag comes up, we can't get our names changed. So a lot of the trans men are easier because some of them don't have criminal backgrounds. Not all, but many are able, or they've been expunged. And you have to remember that a lot of the trans men are easier for us to find employment because we don't have criminal backgrounds. I'm not picking on my sisters, but a lot of my sisters who have been around doing things to survive sometimes get caught up in the system. And because they get caught up in the system, their name is in the system, it's hard for them to find decent employment, or employment that's going to be very feasible for their well-being, or employment that's going to be very comfortable for them to be. You could take a job, but they may not be willing to accept you as a trans person. A lot of times when it comes to trans people, they want us in the job, but they want us not to be seen, not to be heard. So that's something that we're dealing with as a community. And being Black trans men and women, they really don't want us to be seen or heard. They really don't. Because I will tell you now, white trans men and women are privileged. I know that for a fact. They're privileged. Most of my friends are Caucasian. Persuasion with privilege. I'm just saying it like it is. So I have to speak out and have to be real about it. I can't lie. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. I do know that most of my brothers are making it and taking it and going forward. We're not trying to leave our trans sisters behind. It's just that a lot of us are able to live our lives and go forward. Some are married, some have children. And so to go backwards in step is a loss for family. I just happen to be a trans man that's still a bachelor. And I can live my life as I desire to live it. But as a trans man, that's also a man of color, a Black man, an African American, however you want to identify me as, but I identify as a person of color. I'm a statistic. I'm based on that stereotype of what is and what's not. So because of that, I'm very cautious about going out late at night by myself, being in arenas that may cause harm to me as a person, because I'm responsible for my safety and my well-being first. No one else is. Being in arenas that may cause attention to stereotyping. So I have to be cautious of where I go, what I do, as a person of color and as a trans man. So a lot of times there might be a protest and I don't go to the protest. As an advocate activist, I don't go, because I'm not trying to put myself in a situation where I am arrested and then I have issues later. And I'm too old for that. I'm 56. I just can't do it. I got bad knees. I can't do it. So a lot of times we as trans men try to be cautious of certain situations and be aware of those situations. And being that some of us still have not had any bottom surgery, we fear. If we had no top surgery, no bottom, we fear. Because if it's revealed, we have lost. And I will say this, we have lost in several years past now, many of our brothers to death, murder, rape. They rape, murder our brothers, and then we don't know anything about it till later. So, being a man of color, I have to be cautious of where I go and what I do. You know, my mother asked me this question: why did you even transition? I wish you never did, because I wouldn't have to worry about you every day. And I had to explain to my mother, this had nothing to do with my color. This had something to do with my well being as a person, my mind, my body, and my soul. So I just want you all to know that, you know, being transition is not easy for many of us. And so this is what it is. Um, yeah, Makala, you're right. McKay, a lot of us are stealth. I think sometimes I'm stealth because people don't know my trans. I don't speak about it. I feel like if I don't know what's going on at your house, why do you need to know what's going on at my house? If I'm not paying your bills at your house and you're not paying bills at my house, why you need to know what's going on at my house? If you're not washing my laundry, then I'm not washing your laundry. You know what my underwears look like. I don't know what your panties or underwears look like. Then we don't need to be in each other's business. This is a part of me, and my past is not your concern. I spoke to a man the other day, and his question was, so what was your name? I ain't going to tell you that. That's none of your business. All you know me as Flex. That's all you need to know me as Flex. I introduced myself as Flex. I bet you got another name, but you ain't going to tell me about it. I'm just saying. So, you know, to ask me my dead name, it's dead. It's dead. When I did my name change years ago, it's dead. It's gone. Shoot, my dad never even called me by the name my mother was calling me because he was like, nah, that ain't going to be the name. This is my child's name right here. He wasn't even calling me that name. My mother hated him for years, but he wasn't even calling me that name. And then when I transitioned, he was happy as a camper. He said, take this name on, you be good to go. And I did that. He was happy as a camper. So, you know, sometimes we have the support from both parents, one parent, or no parent at all. And sometimes we have to have community to support us. And in our TRANSMAN community, we don't have that support, not even from the sisters and not even from a lot of trans women. You know, it's sad because we do a lot of work in our community. McKay, you know, brother, I'm going to mess your name up. I'm sorry. I'm going to call you Mr. Bowman McWilliams because it makes my life easy. I'm sorry, brother. I'm not trying to. I will mess up a name. Ask anybody. If it's not spelled Flex, I'll mess the name up. I'm seriously going to admit I have my faults. I think it's because I can't see half the time. Yeah, Kimberly, you're right. People always ask about our dead names and they don't understand. It's not a secret. It's not needed. If you know me as Flex, that's all you need to know. If you didn't know my transition or know my story, it wouldn't have been a big issue. So I'm just saying, you know, my dead name is my dead name. And it is what it is. But you know me for what you know. You saw me. You saw by face value, I am male of color. By face value, I'm a man with a beard, mustache, and glasses. You didn't see nothing else. And you knew me as Flex. So why you got to know me as Jaquetta or Janita or whatever somebody's name? That's not my name. That's not my name. See, now you try to get me to say me. See, I'm going to say it wrong. Mac. Okay, bro, I got you. I'm going to call you Mac for the rest of your life. I'm done. Mac. See, that made life so easy. Why didn't you just tell me that? I'm going to call you Mac now. Ooh, you just made me feel better. Michaela Soul. Listen. Kimberly, I think we're going to have to give up with you coming on. It's unable. Sean Jackson, glad to have you. Sean, if you want to brother to brother.
Hey, Brother Flex.
Kimberly, you finally made it. What did you do?
Girl, man, I don't know, brother. I had to go downstairs and beat my grandkids.
Okay.
I had to beat them for a few minutes because they're not happy unless they're getting abused. And I have to beat my daughter for a little bit because she seems like she's not happy unless she's getting abused, which is probably where these little cave dwellers got it from. You know how it go. You got kids. You know, sometimes you gotta rough them up. You know, but but you know, I was thinking earlier when we were talking about the DL man. Now, if you DL, okay, that's you. But don't ask me out and tell me that you want to be in my life for the rest of your life, and I can't meet your family. I can't meet your friends. We can't hang out together any place where someone might know you. And then
You know,
expect me to
but
give
see,
you.
that's something that they, you know, it's funny you say that because being a trans man that dates cisgendered men, I don't have that problem.
Really? I get that all the time. I just talked to a young brother last night. First of all, I didn't know he was, because I paid attention to his picture, but I didn't pay attention to how young he looked. He was a sweet guy. He really is. He's a sweet kid. And I call him kid not out of disrespect, but because he's literally the same age as my son.
What, you a
Okay?
cougar?
Yeah, I guess they think I am. I guess that's what they think. But I asked him, I said, how old did you think I was? He said, I thought you were like 30, 32. I'm like, I'm 47. I'm closer to 50 than I am to 40.
You better run with the 30. You better run with that 30. You better run.
You know what? I always appreciate the compliment of being thought as looking younger than I actually am. However, I'm proud of my 47 years because I grew up in Flint, Michigan. Not one of the outskirts towns, but in Flint, Michigan. And anyone who knows anything about Flint, Michigan knows that Flint's a rough town, you know. And so most of the cats I grew up with didn't make it to 47.
Right.
You know, and if they did, some of them saw it in prison or in a wheelchair or whatever, you know. Excuse me. So plus I have grown kids and I have grandchildren. You know, I have 8 grandchildren whom I love dearly. And so, thank you, Makai. And so, I'm proud of my 47 years. I'm glad I look younger, but I'm proud of those years because I've learned something every year of those 47 years. And those were things that I wouldn't have picked up at 25 or at 30, 35, things like that, because we're not ready at 30 to know things that most 45 or 50-year-olds know.
Right.
We may be ready to have the knowledge, but we don't know what to do with it. You know, most of the time. What, baby?
So let me ask you this question, Kimberly.
Come down there and punch him in his face.
So, oh Lord, you about to beat the children. Let me ask you this question, because this is Trans Man Space, brother to brother conversation, and this is where people can come in and ask questions and talk to us about trans men. How do you feel about trans men who are not as active in the community as they should be?
Well, I feel like everyone has their reasons for what they do or don't do.
Okay.
But a lot of trans men are a lot more passable than a lot of trans women, for whatever the reason is. I think it's because the testosterone works better on trans men because it deepens your voice and helps you grow the facial hair and things like that.
Well,
whereas when you grew up with that testosterone, that can't be reversed. However, a lot of trans men are just stealth.
Well, here's the thing, and I'm going to educate people that are watching this. The reason the testosterone works like it does is because, as we all know, men evolve from their mamas. And later on, they become the men they are with body parts, deep voice, and all that. And even young men have soft skin. They have squeaky voices until the testosterone kicked in. So our testosterone level is lower. Once you kick in
Right.
that higher level of testosterone, it starts evolving into the male persona as it needs to.
Right.
So
Right.
that is why, and then you have to remember, if you look at a young boy, he looks a little more feminine, whatever, you know, and as we evolve, because what you see here was 40-something years. I didn't have this face or
Right.
nothing. It was different.
Right.
It evolved with the body. We were soft and we became who we are. Trans
Right.
women have already been set in stone. You got to go back and rework it out and everything else, you know.
Right.
But
That's
I
why we
think
have to
that's
work on
why,
our voices. Y'all don't have to work on y'all's voices.
right, right. You have to turn around and change. Right, right, right.
See,
because
I
once,
think that a lot of trans men are just, I think it's a safety issue.
yes, it is. It is.
Because
we're
like you said
scared.
earlier, a lot of trans men get beaten up, they get raped, and things like that, especially if they haven't had the bottom surgery. And so, especially black trans men, because they just don't want that stigma of being thought as gay, even if they date men. Because a trans man who dates men is a gay man.
No,
That's how I look at it.
no. See, we're going to
You don't
argue
think
now.
so?
I'm a pansexual man, so that doesn't make me gay if I date a gay man?
Well, pansexuality, but here's the thing though, cisgender straight men won't see that distinction.
I don't think so. I think the gay men that I've dated, they understand the word of pansexual. They understand pansexuality. And they're comfortable with that.
Too. I'm pansexual. But what I'm saying is that
right.
a lot of straight cisgendered men don't understand that. A lot of
well, see, I don't deal with straight cisgendered men. They bore me like straight cisgendered women, and then they bore me. Cisgendered men and women bore me. I'm just saying.
I'm not choosing my words correctly because I think I'm not choosing my words correctly because what I'm trying to say is that for a lot of trans men, it's a safety issue because the cisgendered straight men won't know how to make the distinction between a gay man and a pansexual man and whatever else. They don't, because most of them, we don't exist in that world, in their world. Trans people just don't exist in some people's world. They know about us, they hear about us, but they don't experience what it's like to be around us, so they don't have that knowledge. Just like I see I see people on here from time to time thanking us, like straight cisgender people thanking us for the information and knowledge that they gain from watching our videos, you know. And so I think that they don't want to be seen as gay men, whether they're actually gay men or not. They don't want to be seen that way. Because
but you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I have dealt with cisgender men, gay and straight, and I'm gonna be honest with you. Some straight men that I have interacted with, even sexually, have said they're comfortable being with someone like me. I think it's because it's not saying they're gay and it's not saying they're straight.
Right. It's not putting a distinction on it at all.
Right. It's not putting a fiction on it. And I honestly told them, I said, if you straight, you straight.
Right.
I can't. And if somebody calls you gay, tell them you're straight. Fuck what, I mean, mess with their brain. I don't care. I'm pansexual because I feel like your sexuality is your sexuality. Just because you are dating someone different, like I'm pansexual. So if I'm dating a gay man, does that make me gay? No.
No, that doesn't make you gay.
Right. But a cisgender heterosexual needs to understand. It's like I've dated in my past years heterosexual women that are bisexual as well. So those heterosexual women have said, well, that doesn't make me gay. No, you're heterosexual. Because when you're done with me, you're going to go back to another man anyway. So I think,
but you know, for a lot of people, perception is reality. And so it's how they perceive it. Like, hey, here's how I had to explain it to my mom. My mom thought that I transitioned because I was a gay man who transitioned to a physical female so that I could date straight men. So
but that's stereotyping.
So that was her reality. And I had to teach her that that's not the case. So, so what I'm saying is that it doesn't matter to them if you're actually gay or not, or if the other trans men are actually gay or not. To them, it's what they believe. So that's what they go by. And like a lot of people like me personally, I worry about how people will perceive me because they don't have the understanding that we do.
Right.
Does that make sense? They don't have the understanding that we do. Like, we understand what pansexuality is. We understand what it is to be trans. We understand what it is to go through the shame for some of us and the depression of having to hide who we are or coming out and not being accepted by the people
Right.
whose opinions of us matter most to us. So they don't understand these things. So when some of the straight cisgender men see a trans man, they don't see a man. They see a gay man. And so
I beg to differ because I've had straight men see me as a man, not as a gay man.
Some of them do. Not all men are, not all straight cisgender men are the way that I just described, but a lot of them are. And you're right. There are quite a few straight cisgender men who will see you as nothing but a man.
Yeah.
To them, you are a man. That's all it is. That's end of it for them. They don't care about nothing else.
I mean,
to
them it's dude. I mean, to them it's dude. Some call me Big Daddy. I mean, I'm just telling y'all like it is.
Right.
And I get gay men who will say, well, then you're gay. No, I ain't gay. You gay. Because when I'm done with you, I might go with a trans woman. So what is that?
And see, that's what I'm talking about. Those gay men saw you as a gay man. So it's their perception is what I'm talking about. Not how you see yourself, but their perception. Right. In their eyes, they see you as a gay man. So
right.
So a lot of trans men may be afraid that someone else will see them as a gay man and attack them. I just watched a video yesterday about a group of gay men, like 4 or 5 of them, at a pride parade, who got jumped by a group of straight cisgender men, just because of their perception of them. Lots of straight cisgender men are immediately threatened when they see a gay man. They automatically, in their mind, think that he's gonna hit on me, he's gonna like me, things like that. So I gotta beat him up to make sure he understands that I'm not like that, because they don't have the understanding of how this all works.
Well, I think a lot of it is because the stereotype is that gay men all want to get the booty. You know, I think that's the scared thing. And I think the thing with trans men, when we meet men in general and we have conversation with men, it's different. It's how we speak to these men, how we interact with these men. I think it's what's different between us as trans men, and this is what I'm gonna say, and some of y'all gonna think I'm crazy, but as trans men, we have something that cisgender men do not have. Cisgender gay men or heterosexual don't have. We already know how to talk to men because we were female body before we were the men we are today. So we know how to interact with men and come across a certain way so we're not giving you the wrong idea. As a gay man, I might talk to a straight man and come off the wrong way. As a trans man, you a dude. If you a guy, I'm talking to you like you one of the dudes. I'm not going to give you no inkling that I'm interested in you sexually. I'm not doing that. I'm talking to you like one of the dudes. And I think that's the difference between trans men interacting with heterosexual men and gay men than gay men interacting with heterosexual men and gay men. I think that's the difference. A lot of us don't come off like gay men. We don't, because we don't identify as gay. Half of us, I say maybe 15% of us may be called ourselves gay because we're in a gay relationship by face value of what society sees. But in realistic, and you don't date them anymore, does that make you still gay? Y'all see what I'm saying? So for me personally, as a pansexual, I don't see gender. I see the spirit and the soul an individual. So for me, I don't identify as gay, straight, black, whatever. I'm just flex, dating somebody, having a good time, and enjoying that person and what it is. I think we as a community need to understand that when dealing with trans men, there are no labels for us. There are no labels. We really don't like labels because we have already evolved. Some of us, like myself, evolved from the heterosexual world. Then I had to step into this lesbianism that I wasn't even in because everybody called me a lesbian, and I never called myself a lesbian. My mama never called me a lesbian. Okay, so in the eyes of society, when I was dating women and I was evolving to be the man I am, I was a stud. But I didn't even know what a stud was. I was just flex, doing my thing, paying my bills, doing what I got to do, not trying to be the man of the house. I was just the mate of the house. I was the mate to that female. So I was not a stud. So I had to flip the switch on them and let them know I'm not that stud. I am that trans man. So we as trans men, we have unique skills and techniques and things and knowledge that we carry from being female body to being trans men, which means we know how to present ourselves in certain arenas so that we're not portrayed in the wrong way. It's not misunderstood that I might be this or that. I have many gay men to this day who say they didn't know I was trans. And I've been looking at them like, what do you mean? I didn't know you was trans. I thought you was just like a friend of the community. And one guy was like, I thought you was gay, but I didn't think so. Because you like a daddy image. You real macho. And I'm like, as tall as I am, how you get macho? And my hands be doing this all day long. But it's okay. I'll be macho and do this all day long for him if that's how he's feeling. So I want you all to understand that as a trans man, we don't like labels. You know, we don't like labels. I label myself as pansexual because that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at sexually. But as far as being gay, straight, or whatever, no. I'm just who I am sexually, and it is what it is. If I'm dating a woman, I'm dating a woman. If I'm dating a trans woman, I'm dating a trans woman. If I'm dating a man that's cisgender straight, fine. If I'm dating a man that's cisgender gay, fine. If he's flamboyant, fine. If he's a Twinkie, fine. If he's macho, fine. I don't care. It's the spirit of the person that I'm dating. And I think that's what goes on with our brothers is that we are comfortable where we are. Miss Erica, let's get you on. Let's see what you got to say. So, Erica, we're waiting for you to come on because I know you got something to say. Just remember, folks, I want you to share this with your friends and family and everybody. This is Trans Man Space. We're having conversations, what, where, when, and why. Conversations on trans men. This is bro to bro communication. Allow brothers to come in as well to have conversation with us, and you all can learn from us. This is one of those days. This is one of those days. Now, look, I'm hitting buttons. If y'all not coming through, you need to click off and come back. I've hit 3 buttons. Nobody coming through. All right, let's see what we got going on. Somebody's popping up. Says it's adding you. Okay, let's hope that it's connected. Wow, my girl.
How you doing?
My girl, how are you doing?
I'm cool. Cool. I'm surprised that Facebook allowed me to get on this live of the bush to the Facebook today, but whatever. How's your day going?
I'm actually going. Well, I had some bad news, but I'm getting ready to take care of that. We had a young trans man who's just getting ready to face jail time, and he's running from the system. So I'm going to communicate with him tonight to see what we can do to get him some help. It kind of threw me off a little bit, but I'm back a little bit. So I'm gonna check on him real quick.
That's understandable. So I have
Yeah.
several questions. More than
Okay.
I do have one area that I disagree with you. I don't think that most trans men. I think most trans men identify as heterosexual. And one of the things that is a question or something I want to talk about is why a lot of trans men they don't date trans women, and because they don't date trans women, they don't identify with this trans community that we're trying to build or trying to hi Erica trying to bring together. So my question to you is because I know you're very pansexual, but a lot of the trans men that I know aren't. A lot of the trans men I know, um, are
I'm going to say this. I think what happens is some of our trans men um, are still in the world of condition, and they're going by whatever they can go. I think a lot of it is to fit in society without having conflict. I think they're living comfortable without conflict, and that's what they're doing. That's their way of living comfortable without conflict. And when I say living comfortable without conflict, that means no one's questioning them. There's no highlight of who they are, transition, or anything like that. It's when we begin to live uncomfortable with conflict that people start questioning who we are. What do we look like? What's going on? Or whatever. So I think what they're doing is they're living comfortable without conflict. And that's why they say what they say. I can't answer that for everyone. I don't think I can answer it at all. I'm just speaking on my own experience.
now. Can we
Now,
turn a bit flat? Because you know how your sister is. Has to bring a little bit of controversy to her conversation. Just a
I
slight.
know. Here we go. I'm waiting. Go ahead.
I was watching live the other day. I don't even know how I got onto the live. I just got on there. Somebody invited me, and I was watching. And the trans man said this, and he was like, "I'm not trying to offend. I'm not trying to. I love all a part of the community. But at the end of the day, I don't like dick. So I'm not trying to fuck with y'all. Like we all a part of the community, but I don't like penis. And because trans women have penis, I can't fuck with y'all. And I just wonder the reality of the situation, being the man with a vagina, you get that like for me, I understand being a woman with a penis that, not everybody's gonna find that beautiful or attractive. Some
Right.
not everybody. But when it comes to trans men, I see a lot of trans men then when they're rejected from cisgender heteronormal women, they tend to date a lot of lesbian women and play that borderline I'm in the gay community scene. So I was wondering from a trans man, what is it like dating? Do you get a lot of
Come on, Savannah. Come on,
lesbian
Savannah.
men don't date trans women? I know some men do, but not a lot.
Let me say this. I think what it is that now here goes with the stereotype, but some of our trans men do arrive from the lesbian world, so they're very comfortable with women, and that's where they're comfortable. Um, so for some of them to date a trans woman, it's uncomfortable for them. It's uncomfortable for them. It's just like Pose last night. Was it last night or night before? Where Electra's uh, gentleman said, "I liked you the way you were." He wanted what he saw and what was there.
Mm.
He didn't want a woman because he could get a woman anywhere. He wanted to get a woman. You see what I'm saying? He wanted what he wanted. And I think with trans men, some are comfortable with dating women. And the image of being a man is to be with a woman. I think that's where some are comfortable. As a trans man, they enjoy being the man they are and having a woman in their life. To them, a trans woman with a vagina, as they call it, with her special, yeah,
Gene,
yeah,
Gene,
yeah. See, I don't like to say all. I just don't. Yeah. Um, it's uncomfortable for them. But had she had bottom surgery, I bet you $50, 50 trans men would be sitting at her front door.
but as a trans woman, I can kind of understand it, and I don't feel like that's because I'm not really attracted to vagina like that either at all, really. So it would be hard
Right.
for me to date a trans man, even if they had the bottom surgery. It still would be hard for me to date a trans man. I'm just not, as a trans person, I'm just not trans attractive. And sometimes I feel like I get backlash from the community because I say
Well,
I'm not.
that's where That's where we all have our own comfortable level. I mean, there's some people that like missionary. I'm okay. Let's talk about the straight world. There are straight women that lay on their back all the time and let the man do his business. And then there are straight women that take over in the bedroom and let that man lay there and she do her business. It's your preference of where you're at on a sexual level. But if that doesn't bother you sexually, then it's fine. I mean,
But
it's all for you.
but I'm
Like for me, when I'm with a trans woman, yeah, I'm a top and a bottom. I won't deny that. I'm I'm kinky. I do stuff like that. But if that woman's comfortable with me strapping, like a straight woman loves me to strap, I'll strap. I mean, a cisgender woman wants me, I'll strap because I know how to strap. So if that woman that's trans is comfortable with me strapping, then I'll strap. But it depends on the two involved. I really feel like that.
do you feel like a lot of trans men who exactly. I kind of agree with you, Claudette, on this one because. But do you feel like it causes conflict because a lot of trans people aren't trans attractive, and I know that sounds, you know, weird, but it's the truth. Like there is a large portion of trans people. Fuck, I was gonna break it. I knew I was gonna fucking break it. Ah.
Okay, go ahead. I'm listening. What's your question?
There's a large number of trans people who aren't trans attractive. So how do we get to dealing with the ones who are or who like because I feel like a lot of trans men live a stealth life because they want to be with a cisgender non-lesbian woman, right? So a lot of trans men live a very stealth life. And I also feel like especially with black trans men are able to give an amazing transformation. Like black trans men, when it comes to the transition, it tends to.
They look like me. They almost look like me. I'm just saying they transition. I think the thing is that a lot of trans men are comfortable where they are in their lives, and the reason the stealth comes in, I think, I hate to say this, I think I am about 15% in my life still stealth because um I gained male privilege. You know what I'm saying? When I was female bodied, I got cis black woman privilege. Sure I'm coming from? And then as I transitioned as a man of status and substance, I began to gain a little bit more privilege as a man of color, respectfully. Um, and an educated man, I got a more privilege. Not a lot more than my brother down the street, but I got more privilege. And being a man of color that's also mixed with Spanish descent, well, I got more privilege doing that. I get a job speaking Spanish. So for me, I think for me personally, for some of us, it's where we are on that status quo, where we're at right now. And it's a thing of not losing what we worked on. We don't want it exposed. We don't want it to be put out there because we've gained.
Do you feel like trans on trans relationships work out better than trans on cisgender relationships?
I believe that it can. Depends on the couple. Depends on the couple.
In the trans do you guys have a large? Because I'm realizing a large number of trans women date each other. So do trans men tend to date each other?
There's not a large number, but there are trans men dating each other. There are trans men that you would think were gay couples, and you would not know that they were trans unless you knew them. And I know at least 6 couples that are trans men dating each other, and 2 of them are married. 2 couples are married, but you would not know it going around them because you think they were gay men.
Do cisgender men give trans men as hard of a time with pronouns and stuff as cisgender women give trans women?
For me personally, I've never had a problem with cisgender men. I get it from gay men. I get pronouns misused by gay men. Heterosexual men, no, because they meeting me at face value. Me personally, and some of us at face value, that they see us as men, and then once they know the story, they're like, well, it don't matter. You still a dude. Whereas gay men, they give us so much flack and disrespect, just as much as trans women do with us sometimes.
Of course, Claudette. Do you think that cisgender women, because I know a lot of trans men date cisgender heterosexual women, right? So, but I don't ever hear cisgender women holler, "He tricked me. I didn't know he was a woman."
Oh, let me stop you right now. The reason you don't hear it is because we don't tell it. But a lot of our women have outed us, put our business out there, have actually put us, some of us have lost homes, jobs, everything because of the women we've been with. I'm telling you, they just as dirty as can be. And if the relationship breaks up, they tell everybody their business. He wasn't a man anyway because he couldn't stay in this relationship with me, and because he was a woman. Oh, they put us out there. You just don't know about it because we don't express it, we don't say it, and there's not enough cisgender women to come back and tell you.
Why?
Why would they come back and tell y'all? They scared to come back. Look,
No,
first of all, they don't identify. They don't identify. Let me tell you, they don't identify if we're dealing with heterosexual or bisexual women. They don't identify with LGBT in their mind. They're not going to go back and tell the LGBT community, because to them, if they came back and said something to the LGBT community, that's like getting smacked in the face afterwards. Because guess what? The LGBT community be like, well, why'd you even date them?
but brother, cisgender women still, even after they find out, will still be in a relationship with you all, right? They may get mad after shit go bad and put you all on blast, right? But while shit is good, they're still in a relationship with y'all. When it comes to cisgender men, when we reveal who we are to them, it's one or two things. It's either they're gonna try to kill us or they're gonna try to fuck us. But no longer are we that woman that they respect, and they're coming at us with an intention of relationship. So that's where the difference is. And I'm asking, because this is educational. Why do you think that is the case? That when cisgender women find a trans man and they're intimate or whatever, they still are willing to date that person. Now, if the thing go bad, they're gonna, expose or whatever. But it's never a thing of violence or I'm trying to kill this person for tricking me or this, that, and the
I
third.
think a lot of it is because, first of all, when they meet a trans man, and I'm going to put it out there, we're gentlemen. So they see the man part for they see that gentleman. They see the respect. They see the things that we're giving forward to them. And when it's time to be intimate with these women, we're straight up forward and we let them know, I don't care if you walk away, but this is my story. I think it's just how we handle the situation. And we're very picky about the women we deal with too.
Mm.
We get to know the women that we're dealing with. We get to learn that woman before we expose who we are to that woman.
Do you think that lessens the chance? First trans man.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. But you have to remember, because I am now a man, she may feel if she does something wrong, she might get beat up. So now her trauma from her past or mother's past or whatever, the image of how black men are or how we are, it may be a fear for her. Because the idea of trans men is that when we're on testosterone, here's the storyline that's so stereotypical that half of it's a lie, that when we're on testosterone, we're aggressive. So now they're frightened of us, that we might beat the living daylights out of them if they, step on the image of that man.
Why do you think so many? Okay, this is a great question. And I think we talked about this before, but we could talk about this again. Why do you think so many quote unquote stud quote butch lesbian women, right, go so far with their masculinity, yet they don't transition?
Wait a minute. How many people going what?
Why do you think a lot of quote unquote studs or quote unquote butches? I'm not trying to offend nobody. That's just what we call the masculine lesbian women in South Florida, butches or studs. I'm sorry if I'm offending it. I'm not trying to offend anybody. Please forgive me. What? Why do you think so many of the butch and stud lesbian women go so far in their masculinity where they grow facial hair or make it hide their chest? I don't know if they'll go as far as getting it removed or get reductions or dress so masculine and be so thud out, or but they don't identify as male per se, as they would be like, oh, don't call me no woman, I'm a nigga, this, that, and the third, but they don't transition.
Well, here's the thing: in the lesbian community, there are women who embrace their masculinity, and those are called studs or butches or whatever you want to call them, diesel dykes, whatever. They embrace their masculinity, and they are comfortable being who they are because they're always going to be cisgendered, being who they are. They just don't feel the need to be a man, but they embrace masculinity for who they are within themselves. And you have to remember that we have a lot of women that are in the trans community now that are non-binary within the community too. So I think it's just embracing their masculinity and their feminine side, and they're comfortable. They just don't want to be a man. They don't want to be a dude. They're comfortable with it. And the girls, if the girls are very inviting to that, their mate is inviting to that, they'll continue to do that.
But if you, but what is so confusing to me about that is, it's like the girls who dress up and drag every day, say they're a woman, but yet they don't transition, or they like it's. How do you want me to respect you as a man, but you're not transitioning? You're just a lesbian. But then, I'm sorry. I guess
Okay, so let me say this. You have guys that dress very feminine like, we call them Twinkies, very feminine like, they call them, what they call them, butch queens or something like that. They dress very feminine like and all that,
it's a whole different thing. Like I
but they
can't.
don't mind being called girl. They don't mind, but girl. Okay, I'm just saying.
That's
I'm
true.
just saying.
True. You said that.
They don't mind being called girl. They don't mind being, child, girl, you fish, but they gonna call each other names back and forth. So they're the reverse of what the stud girls are. I'm just being honest with you.
Mhm.
There are some that if you even call them, like studs, a lot of them will, like someone just said, some get offended when you call them sir. They don't want to be called those terms. They want to be considered like daddy or my nigga. They using terms that they hear in the street, but they're not going to use the word. A lot of them don't like to be called sir. They don't want to be called sir. That's too deep. That's too far for some of them. That's too far for some of them.
Full ass beard and mustache. Then what? Come on.
They got a beard and mustache.
Yes.
Those are the one. A lot of them are doing balls. There's a lot of them that are doing balls, and then there's some of them that are non-binary, so they're willing to do the medicines and do what they do, but they're actually embracing more of their masculinity and their feminine at the same time. I mean, it's just what happens in our community.
Are trans men a part of the ballroom scene?
A lot are, not all. Are trans men part of drag? Yes, a lot are, but not all.
When trans men are a part of the ballroom scene, what terminology do they use? Because I know when trans women are a part of the ballroom scene, they call them femme queens, but I would have no clue.
We are trans realness, honey. That's all we are. Just trans realness.
Oh, okay.
That's all it is, trans realness. We're under the realness category.
Can I
When
ask?
someone just asked me to do a ball, I said, I don't do balls. They said, Flex, you need to win that $1,000 because you are pure real. That's exactly what they said. You need to go on and do the realness. I said, okay, fine, I'll do it.
Do you think trans men choose to be? I know Kimberly was talking about they feel like they're gonna be raped and all this other stuff. I don't necessarily feel like that's the case. I feel like a lot of trans men choose to be stealth just because they can, just because they pass.
It goes back to the word privilege. Some of us have gained some form of privilege as a man in society.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, we don't want to lose that status. Because when I'll be honest, honestly, when a lot of heterosexuals find out in the cisgender world that we are trans, I'm not going to say we get applauded for or tapped on the shoulder or pat on the back, but we're a little more respected. I hate to say this. I feel that my experience, a lot of us are respected better than our cisgender brothers, like my siblings.
Mm.
We're not a threat to society because we are not born men, but we are image of man. You understand that?
Why do you think a lot of then it's the opposite for trans women? That's why they just go around killing us because we are a threat to a society. Why do you think that is?
Because you were born men and transitioned to women.
Mm-hmm.
You still carry your strength by being the born men that are now women. Because in the mentality of society, you carry the strength of what you were born. And the idea of society's mind, we carry the weakness of what we were born. We're not a threat because we were born women. You get that idea?
Mm-hmm.
If we never told anybody we were trans, I'd be more of a threat. For example, when I got arrested for that crazy ticket years ago, and I told the police I was a trans man, they took the cuffs off of my arms, put me in the back seat, and said, we're going to go down. And I was not cuffed to the wall or nothing. I was no threat. Had I never said anything, they would have turned around and kept me and harassed me.
Okay, well then it goes back to, do you think it's because they don't respect you as a man?
You just said it. They respect me as a person, the way I handle myself, but society is never going to see me in certain situations as the man that as the gender that I so claim that I am,
Okay.
that I know I am.
Right.
Society's never going to. They're never going to. Because through them, we're just doing medical changing around and changing paperwork. And to society, that's just the way things go.
How do you think that trans women, because I feel like a lot of trans women, because lately I've been doing my blogs about toxic feminine energy, and I feel like a lot of trans women are very disrespectful to trans men.
Yeah.
And how do we get over that? Because a lot of trans women, I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, still a woman," and I'm just like, "But sis, how can you sit up there and spook his tea when you are trans yourself?" Like, how do we get more trans women to respect the transition of trans men?
Our trans women have to respect us as the men that we are. That's the first thing. They've got to learn to respect us. As many of us respect them despite how crazy and messy they can be. Because a lot of our trans women are messy. We know that. And a lot of our trans men are messy too. but we've got to respect each other, one another, evenly. But until we get the respect as men that we are, because see, our trans women will kiki with gay people and their crowd and call us fish and all these things and just be so rude to us that's where you all have trans women are losing the respect towards trans men. And when trans women, for me, and this is how I feel, when trans women are not acting as the women they should be, every woman is different. The image of women that trans women are portraying, not all, but many are portraying, is by what they see. A woman should be who she should be and not what she sees. Like I said, when I transitioned, I had this thought in my mind of the idea of the man that I desired to be. I wasn't taking the image of my father. I wasn't taking the image of my grandfather. I wasn't taking the image of the guy down the street. I wasn't acting like the guys in the barbershop. I was the image of what I desired to be. And I think that's what trans women need to do, is think of the woman that she desires to be and stop trying to imitate, not implement, imitate what she sees in front of her. That's how I feel.
Sorry.
So with all that I said, you just missed it all, was that we cannot imitate what we see in society. We have to put within ourselves the desire, the image of that I desire for myself to be, not what grandma, sister, cousin, whoever they portrayed, whatever. I see people following behind what mama and granddaddy and everybody else done did. Even incest in the community, they do the same thing. You can't do that. You need to be the person you desire to be and not imitate the ways of others. But if you look closely, a good 45%, I'm being nice, 45% of trans women are imitating each other and what they see. TV, everything. Be the woman you desire to be. Like you, Michaela, you a whole different type of woman to me. You're a whole different type of trans woman. You are the woman you desire to be.
Yes, that's right.
And because of that, you get the respect that you get from the trans men. You are being the woman you desire to be. You're not being this imitation. You're not being a falsified image. You're not being something that's messy. Well, sometimes we can all do that, but you're not. I'm just saying, you're not running around here calling me fish or calling me this. You're not being disrespectful. And this is the problem we're having. The girls are still being disrespectful. I hate to say this, but I get better respect from the younger generation of trans women than I do that the ones that are 30 on over. I don't know, it's because I'm older and I'm like an elder and they respect me, but I get better respect from the younger girls from 20 to 25 than I get from the ones 30 to 40.
It took me a long time because what it was for me, and I guess this is for everybody, this is the trans thing, is you have to accept yourself, right? If you can't accept your own transition or who you are, who you view yourself as, nobody else will, right? You're just putting on a masquerade.
Right. And that's why the disrespect has happened, because everybody's imitating what each other has done. So when people see the same evolution, revolving door, after a while, here goes back to some of these issues of death. Issues of death is that revolving door. Somebody's getting tired of that revolving door and somebody's getting triggered. And when they get triggered, they act out towards a person that last triggered them. We can't keep repeating the same thing over, because Lucille did this, the trans woman Lucille did this, I'm going to do the same thing because she told me how to do that. Girl, this is what you need to do. Girl, you need to do this.
And we also, as trans women, and I know this is a trans men conversation, but it really, I feel like trans women have to stop forcing men into certain sexual acts when the men isn't ready for it per se. And I don't think trans men necessarily do that. Like a lot of trans men I talk to are very open with their sexuality. If their partner is want to have intercourse with their vagina, they will still allow it. Their partner, if they want to wear a strap on for their partner, they will do it. Like a lot of trans men are so open to their sexual prowess, they're willing to use their whole body. Where a lot of trans women, they're use their whole for somebody they love, but then if they're you if they're working for money, they'll use their penis. And a lot of men don't necessarily aren't ready to deal with the woman with the penis yet, or aren't necessarily ready for certain sexual acts. And I don't think trans men go through a lot of that. So
We
what?
do. We do.
Okay,
A lot of trans men still are what we call touch me not men. A lot of trans men do not like to be touched on their chests. A lot of trans men do not, in the beginning of the transition, do not like to be touched downstairs. There's a lot of things that we deal with. But here's the thing, y'all gonna laugh. Testosterone will change a trans man overnight.
I believe you.
Testosterone will change a trans man overnight.
I think
I'm
that's
just saying.
I think that's one of the reasons why it's easier for trans men to be more passable because you're adding on, whereas trans women we have to take away, and it's harder to take away than it is to add on.
True.
Um, wow, I really don't have nothing else. Do you have anything else?
No, I don't. I think you asked some people's questions. If anybody else, come on, people. I know share, share, share. I'm going to be getting off pretty soon. I do have a dinner date with a cisgender gay man. I'm going to go have a meeting. It's not a date. It's just a meeting. But if there's any questions y'all have, anything else y'all want to discuss, let's do it. Which this is every other Monday. We'll be doing this every other Monday. So this will be Transmen Space. Who, what, when, and where, questions, anything, concerns, where that's what we're here for, to help share because it's not enough out there, and I'm willing to put it out there by my experience and the experience of my brothers that do want to come on the live and share their experiences as well so that we can learn because we hear so much about trans women, but we don't hear enough about our trans men. And I want people to understand, you know, us as the men we are in society, that we're not all the same. Like someone said earlier, all of our, Aria was right, all of our journeys will never be the same. Each person has their own journey, but some of the evolution, how we evolve is about similar, but we're not going to be having the same journeys. My journey, I'll tell you all, was never the same of anyone's. So, but I will share my journey and my experiences, and I will share my brothers here as well to get in conversation with what we do as well.
Can I say I want to respond to what Jules says because he said you're right about that, Michaela. I think that's why it's possible so much deeper for to transfer as a question of passable. Yes, and what I would like to say to that is, um, I think that's part of privilege. I think that's why a lot of trans men don't necessarily. When I say the community, I'm going to say the gay community because a lot of trans women, for whatever reason, identify with the gay community, and that's where we come in. But a lot of trans men don't necessarily identify with the gay community. Like a lot of
Mm.
men identify with the male.
I'm going to be honest with you. There might be a lesbian that decides that she is not a lesbian, she's a trans man because she thought that that's where she needs. There's many trans men that felt that that's where they needed to be. A lot of older trans men because nobody told them any different. I mean, as we're evolving as a community, we've got people that are younger now saying, "I'm trans, okay, fine. I'm glad you ain't got to go through what I went through because we all been through it as we're older." But the older trans men that are coming into play now or that are being evolving, they're telling the story. They didn't know anything about transition. They didn't know that there was anything such thing to transition. So I was, I just happened to be young and knew it was there. But there's some that in areas of the United States that don't have visibility of what transition is. They may not have a trans woman or a trans man in their area, so they think it's gayness. But then when they find out it's not, they're not a lesbian, they start evolving to be the men they need to be. I think what happens is that a lot of women that transition to men flow into that lesbianism lifestyle because they're men and they know they need a wife or they want a wife, and they're attracted to women in general, just feminine energy. That's what they're attracted to. So I think when it comes to trans men, um, flowing out of the LGBT community, basically is like, okay, I don't really belong here and I didn't belong here, but I sat here for 10 years until I can get out of what I'm not. So, David, what I like to see from the trans male allies is to really interact and get to know us as men and get to know us as the people we are and support us as brothers. I mean, I don't care if you're white or black, as brothers, as people on this earth. We're identified as male. Interact with us, get to know us one on one. Some of us still play basketball, play pool. Some of us go to racetrack. We do. I play golf with several of them. I mean, it's we're just dudes. I mean, that's what it is. And get to know us. I have a lot of male friends that are cisgendered, gay and straight, and they don't have a problem. I don't have a problem. I think we need to get to know each other one on one so that we can understand. And then I think if the men can get to know us, they can kind of curtail the girls from acting out towards us. I think that's what needs to be done, because as long as they are we're being disrespected by the cisgender gay community, the girls will keep carrying on the craziness and the messiness towards us. And the girls need to stop taking it from the gay community and carrying it over. Because honestly, if you're a trans woman, you're not a gay woman, honey. You're not gay. You're a trans woman. If you're dealing with men, you're dealing with men. But if you're coming from the gay community, we have to stop using that terminology that they use in the gay community towards us as people. And I think that's what makes trans men different, is that we don't run around. A
But
lot do still,
but
but a lot do. But some of us don't run around, I mean, calling you a she-male, or,
but
a
flat.
boy with a dress
Trans,
and dick.
trans women don't respect other trans women transitions. So I mean,
Right,
it's hard
right.
for them
And
to.
it's sad, because I think what's happened has been so much shade comes from the gay community that it just flows right on over, and then it doesn't stop. The buck needs to stop when you say I'm a trans woman. You need to cut that off. Once you cut off that shade, you're moving into a whole different arena of becoming the woman you desire to be. I think what happens is that
I agree, Jules. Jules said he thinks that trans men blend so well in society that they never face a lot of the same issues that trans women do who don't blend so well.
I'm gonna have to disagree with that, because until we evolve to look like this, we look like studs, and we still have to deal with BS. We still deal with community BS. We still deal with lesbians who are studs jumping on us and getting on our faces and want to beat us. We still deal with a lot more than you all know. We just don't discuss it. You don't hear about it. But we do walk away from the cisgender community. We do walk away from the lesbian community, because we are not lesbians. We don't identify as lesbians. I will not go in a lesbian space. That's the difference. Trans women will go in a gay man space that will allow you in there. We don't go in a female space. If it's a lesbian party, we don't go in that lesbian party. That's not a space for me to be in. It says female party. I'm a dude. I don't go in that space. Now let them have a gay party, and there might be 15 trans women in that bar. It's a gay party. You don't fit in that space.
That's
Walk
true.
away from the bar.
That's that's completely true, and I think that's possibly why a lot of the that's another reason why trans men blend into society so well, because a lot of trans women get hung up in that gay culture, and even though they're transitioning, even though they may look the part, their mind is still stuck in that gayness. They what's the T fish and all that good shit that gay men do. And even though you can make the argument that that trans women created the whole culture, gay men have completely stolen it and turned it into some new stuff. So I completely agree that trans women need to leave the gay bars alone, leave the ballroom scene alone, stop death dropping and all that other good shit. Like,
I think if trans women would leave it alone, I really believe that their evolution towards passability would happen. It would happen. I think it would happen
because I think a lot of
because then they'll concentrate more on what they need to concentrate on than be caught up in all the mess and the drama.
I think a lot of trans, even though they want to be fish, even though they want to be fish, they don't want to be woman. And that's where I think a lot of trans men, it's like I don't get it. It's like with white people, like for whatever reason, trans men get it that we're transitioning to be men, right? There's a transition, whether you identify as trans or as male. You understand that I'm doing this to be a man at the end of the day. My look, my presentation, my all of this is to be a man. But with trans women, because a lot that they may want to look like a woman, but they may not want to take on that womanly responsibility, that womanly duty, that womanly,
Right,
I need to cook, clean for my husband, the woman
right,
role in society. They want to look like a woman, but they don't want to take on that womanly role in society, which is why
right.
trans women fail. But trans men want that male responsibility. They want that male.
Well, I think what it is that not that we want. I don't want it, but I'd have to take it on. I think a lot of it is that we know what is required of us, so we take on the responsibility even if we don't want it. I mean, we got some lazy trans men that don't want to do nothing, and they sitting around doing nothing. And I'm being honest with you, but there are a lot of us that know what comes with the responsibility of being the image of what society says is man, and we live that image, and we work through it, and we get through it. And you're right. A lot of it, David, is maturity. I think we've had to grow up fast. We've had to grow up fast because a lot of trans men, and I'm going to go there, a lot of trans men don't have families carrying us as we transition. And there are a lot of trans women that still have families that carry them in their transition.
I agree with Claudette. She says it's there are cisgender women who have left that Michaela. I agree, but I just personally feel like with yeah, there's a lot of cisgender women who don't want to take the roles of womanly eitherness too. I just don't get what's so bad about being a woman. Like, why transition not to be a woman? Like, it's this whole gender non-conformant thing that has been the topic of conversation a lot lately, right? Even when I wasn't on hormones, I still wanted to be a woman. Even when I was 17 and 16 and a little fat little butch queen. In my mind, my idea was I'm gonna marry some man and be the wife and cook for him and clean for him and raise the children. As those teenage fantasies, right? I always wanted to be the princess. I always wanted to be the female ice skaters. Like I always wanted to be the woman, right? That was me. I wasn't trying to be a man who just looked like a woman who wants, like, it's so hard because when it comes to female identity, the bar has been so skewed, but the trans men, y'all have done such a good job of, like, nah, this is a trans man, nah, that's a stud, nah, that's a lesbian, there's a difference, right? Where I feel
Well, I think a lot of it is this, is I'm going to say this. We know that in our mindset, we know where we are, our spirit, we know in our spirit, our mindset, we are not, we have a female body, but our mind and spirit is that of a man. So we know we have got to change from being the little girl to the little boy. And as we evolved mentally, not physically, but mentally, we live that role every day that says we're men. Many of us dress as men. I think we live our role and we live it, and we'll fight the fact that I'm not a lesbian. We'll tell you straight out, I'm not a dyke, I'm not a stud, I'm a trans man, or I'm not this, I'm FDM.
So
We use the term FDM.
do take on those gay personas. They will be like, okay, I'm gay, or I'm part of the gay community, or the LGBT. Like, and I don't see trans men do that, and I just wonder how trans men got to that place and trans women haven't. Like,
Because we don't want to be identified as, here we go, we don't want to be identified as a stud. We don't want to be identified as female. When you have trans women evolving from the gay community, here we go again, they need to step away from the gay community, because what's happening is people are saying either she's a cross-dresser, a drag queen, or a boy in a dress.
And we get stuck on those mindsets. Whereas trans men, y'all never get stuck on those mindsets. You guys are just
We
men.
walk away from that. We don't want the headache. We don't want the drama. We don't want the BS. We don't want none of that. We walk away, because I don't want nobody to say to me back in my day, well, you was just a stud dressing up. No. I'm not going to sit here and defend myself to ignorance to a community that's stuck in itself. I think that's the problem. We can't stay stuck in a community that's stuck within its own labels. We need to walk away from the labels and keep it moving. But for the sake of security and feeling safe, trans women stay in that gay community. But let's be real. I'm not picking on the gay community, but here's the deal. The gay community hasn't done trans men or trans women a damn positive good note at all.
And what?
Leave it alone. Walk away from that community. If you walk away from that community, you're leaving the DL boys alone. You'll find, we'll all find a mate that respects us for who we are. We won't have to deal with the stereotypes. We won't have to deal with nobody worried about the family knowing what's going on. I'm telling you, this is why we as trans men, we walked away and said, that's your space, we're over here.
You don't.
And if I find someone, I find someone.
You don't see trans men going to Pride, and you don't see trans men forcing their sister and the women who are trans attractive at damn Pride. But then when we get men, we want to bring them to Pride and force them around all this gay ass shit and have them confused about who they are.
Because trans women have got to look outside of that circle and see life for what it's worth and go forward. I know it's hard, but you have to remember that's their safe haven. Their safe haven. If they do the things they're doing, that community says it's okay to do it.
Preach, brother, preach.
And when we as trans men step up and say, I'm here for you, sister. I'm going to help you get a job. I'm going to help you do this. I encourage you. We're wrong for encouraging our sisters. We're wrong for supporting our sisters. And then when we support our sisters, we get backlash, we get beat down, we get all those things that we did, we get disrespected. Because they envy our growth, they envy the growth of trans men, they envy the success of trans men. I'm just being honest.
Praise, praise. Because that is the truth. Because a lot of trans women have been stuck in this gayness, right? So then we accept all this gender non-conforming shit and all this other stuff that trans men don't accept. Trans men don't sit there and claim, oh yes, you're still my brother. Nah, gay man, you go over there and be gay and do what you got to do until you figure or you go over there and be a lesbian until you figure some shit out. Then you come back and say you claim manhood, but until then, you're not a man. And I feel like when trans women do that, we get bashed because some trans women be like, oh, well, you have to respect the transition process and this, that, and the third. But trans men, they don't have that. Like, I've never heard of a trans man having issues with the bathroom.
You know why? Because we do not, everybody disagrees with Flex, I know. We do not Claudette, I'm gonna let you disagree with me. That's all right, honey. We're not here to agree. We're here to learn and encourage each other. That's what we're here for. The reason is trans men have learned to live with understanding the words living in comfort without conflict, or you can choose to live out of comfort, uncomfortable, and have conflict. Do you all understand where I'm coming from with that? When you're living uncomfortable within yourself, it all shows on the outside. which means which means others can see it and it reveals itself. So now you're getting the backlash where we live comfortable without comfort. So in the beginning of my transition, I went to the women's room. I don't care how studly I looked. I went to the women's room until I knew when a lady looked at me and said, sir, this is the lady. I said, oh my God, let me go in here and use the men's room. I'm sorry. I had to be told it was the women's room.
I started using the women's bathroom. And I was in a Target, right? And then I just was like, okay, which bathroom did I use? And then this little old white lady, I call her my little angel. She was like, come here, baby. This is the women's room. I get confused too because it looked the same. And she literally grabbed me by my shoulders
and pulled you right on in there.
Yes, and that's when I.
And that's your confirmation. Then that is the time to go in that bathroom. That is the confirmation for you to go in that bathroom.
But I feel like a lot of, and I admire this, and I feel like a lot of our sisters should learn something from the trans men subsector of the community because they don't go through a lot of the same shit that we go through, and I'm just trying to figure out why, because the transition is the same, the journey is slightly similar. Why don't they go through the BS that we go through? Like, you don't hear a lot of trans men being murdered every week, especially black trans men being murdered every week, and they date cisgender black women. Why, why aren't the cisgender black? Why is it that? Is it because it's okay for
we don't, and you have to understand, we don't put ourselves in situations, but I went back and said this earlier, I don't know if you saw it earlier, a lot of us trans men, as we evolve, a lot of us we have the opportunity to make a better life for ourselves. See, when you have criminal backgrounds in our black community, sometimes you can't get a loan to go to college to better yourself.
Correct.
Okay? Sometimes you can't even get a job to better yourself. So, status quo here, many of our trans men might have a ticket, like for a driving ticket or something, but we don't have a criminal background that sustains us from going forward.
Yes.
Okay.
Because a lot of trans men are able to pass quicker than trans women are. Like some trans men, if you get on some good testosterone, can fully transition in like a couple of months. Whereas trans women, it takes sometimes a couple of years.
Right. So for us, I think with us, it's more or less of a
that David and Jules are saying in the comment section about how the gay community have confused because trans women have. This is why I don't support the show Pose. I'm sorry, everybody. I know Pose is everybody's thing. But I don't support the show Pose because I feel like Pose is where the beginning of the confusion started, right, in the gay community, right? The old grandmothers would take these kids, right, and at least, and this is from a South Florida thing. So again, I have my South Florida, I don't know what it's called, veil over this too. Like because of that, right, the barroom scenes competing and gay men telling trans women if you look real or you don't look real, and um, always competing for gay men's attention, even though gay men aren't attracted to us, right? We would do the most to make sure this gay man gave us this real stamp of approval, yet the gay men aren't even attracted to women, right? So the gay men aren't really looking at you as a woman; they're looking at you as as a man presenting as a woman, but he never viewed
Right.
you as that woman, and that's where that borderline difference, that borderline area of confusion, that borderline, oh, all I have to do is just put on the wig and take a couple of shots, bitch, and I could look like you. And then it don't help when they do just put on the wig and put them pillows on their titties, go out, and then the men do find them attractive, and then it's a big gray area. But as trans men, I don't see trans men taking little girls that they see as masculine and then forcing the transition on them. Where I see a lot, I'm not forcing.
I think a lot of it is too, to be honest with some of you, is that we we take our transition very seriously. A lot of us do stay in therapy. A lot of us do seek help. Not all, but a lot do. I still seek a therapist. I still have a therapist. Um, so I take my transition seriously because a lot of what we deal with as trans people, even trans men, we can have some complications. And sometimes you need that therapy to get you through it. It has nothing to do with your medicine, you getting medicine, it has something to do with yourself. Because it's something, it helps you empower yourself. It helps you enhance the person you are. You know, when I went to my therapist the first time to make sure I got my meds, he automatically said, "So how are you doing, sir?" He affirmed who I was. So, and this was a cisgendered, non-LGBT center kind of guy. And I went to him because I wanted a different kind of doctor. So I think for us, um, it's really taking care of yourself, like we said earlier. First, if you're going to transition, understand this is a livelihood, it's an expense. And you're going to have to take care of yourself, your well being, your health, everything. You know, we hear about silicone injections before the girls get into silicone injections. That's your wellness you need to worry about.
Amen.
I know dysphoria is the murderer of many of us. It's the killer. It
I
is it is actually it is actually the suspect. It is actually the killer. And dysphoria is our problem, like I said earlier. But we need to learn to understand that and know that your transition is not going to happen overnight. Trans men like myself, I didn't have top surgery till 2 years ago, and I'm 56. I started at 16, didn't get my medicines until I was 27. So think about those years 16, 27, that's 11 years. Then I didn't get my top surgery until I was 56. Think about it, that's 30 years later. So my transition has taken a process. So if it took me this long, girls and boys, it can take you long as well. But you have to be content with that, accept that, and go forward with it.
and you have to really be honest with yourself about where you're at in your transition. If you're not ready to present, like I think that's another thing that's different between the trans man community and the trans woman community is because trans women is giving up male privilege, right? A lot of trans women don't want to give up that male privilege. That's why they force themselves into some cisgender spaces where I don't see
Right,
men do that. They don't force. They go into the cisgender spaces when they're ready to present as cisgender. Whereas trans women, a lot of the time, want to force cisgender people to accept whatever they look like at that moment in time.
right,
So because they don't want to give up that male privilege, they force themselves, like, I don't want to be the dead horse, like that child Charlotte in that bathroom shit. Like, yeah, I get it. You have an F on your ID, but I'm not trying to say the way you could have presented yourself more feminine. That's all I'm trying to say. Like,
Well,
what?
okay, let me say this. Let me break that down to you too. When you are white privilege,
Mm,
you think you can do whatever you want to do.
amen.
Now, let me say this too. My mother said this to me, and I don't think you were here. She said, I hate the fact that you transition because now you have to deal with the fact of what black men have to deal with, and now I'm scared for you more. Okay, but is what she said. If I fall out in the bathroom, don't you come in there. Because the first thing they're going to do is arrest you as a black man in the bathroom, and second, as a trans man in the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
I don't expect you, if I get old and you have to take my diaper off, I don't expect you to take me in no hospital, in no bathroom, handicapped bathroom, and change my diaper. You better have somebody with you to do it for me. Because that is a no-no. I can't let you do that. So for this individual that did that, they felt they had privilege because of, number one, their job placement. Number two, they were with their friends who accept them whatever way they felt. And probably said, yeah, good, you look good in that dress. I like your earrings. Because, white people will compliment you for anything. If your teeth is crooked, your teeth look good. It don't matter. Okay? And I know because I was raised with them, so I know how they do. That, and because they felt they had that paperwork already set up, they could do what they wanted to do. But I bet you $100 if that person had done that somewhere like at the airport,
Mm.
they would have never went to the woman's room
Nope.
by themselves.
Nope. Not by them. Exactly. Or they would have put a lot more energy into the way they look.
I'm going to say this, and I'll say it like I said it before. She looked like a cross-dresser. I've seen gender non-conforming individuals look better than she did.
You said it, not me. I'm tired of saying it. I feel like
But
it was
but I think it was more or less of, let's see what happens, and we got your back either way. But I think it was because she was privileged by color and race. She had her friends with her. And like I tell everybody, there's another side to this story that nobody seems to understand. What if that same restaurant denied someone to use the bathroom before and they went in there to prove a point?
mm, that's the point.
We're going to go ahead and make a party at this location. But what we're going to do is we're not going to tell them while we're there. We're just going to go ahead and do this party. And if they act out with you, then now we're going to do what we need to do.
Mm-hmm. That's part of privilege.
I mean, think about it. That's like somebody saying, Flex, they won't allow trans people in the bathroom, but we want you to go ahead and use the men's room. And I'm going to look at you and go, you stupid, because it's not going to work.
Mm.
I've been in government buildings, and I sat next to senators that didn't know I was trans during the bathroom law here in North Carolina. And one senator and I was in the bathroom. He's like, this is just so messy. I said, it is very messy. And we got to having a conversation. And I said, you know what's so bad about it? I run in this bathroom every day, as free as I can. He said, yeah, because civil rights is giving you that right. I said, yeah, because I'm a trans man. That damn senator about dropped his soap and everything else and the paper in his hand. And he looked at me, and to this day, he and I are now friends. In
Mm.
conversation, we communicate about the things that go on in the state. But he didn't know. He said, I said, you'll never know. I would have never told you. You would never know. And he and I had a long discussion in his office, and he learned from me the truth of what he needed to know. So that's
But
why I'm saying sometimes I just think there's more to that story than what's really being revealed. They're not going to tell you why they went in there. They're not going to tell you why she did what she did. They're not going to tell you that, because if they find out, that's what is that? That's what is it that the police get you? That's like
entrapment.
like entrapment. Yeah.
I'm going to sit here and say this: it's very important who we choose as our elected leaders, as we can see that Donald Trump is over there in Europe kissing Vladimir Putin ass on national TV today. This is very important who we choose as our elected leaders. We really need to pay this shit a lot more attention than this has been paid attention to from trans men and trans women. We need to not always be focused on our transition and be able to open up our minds to what's going on in the rest of the world. And I
Right.
don't know how the trans people in general can focus beyond their transition to live as real life human beings and be whole people.
Right. Well, I will say this as well. Okay. I'm going to say this. We need to be more accountable for the ones we elect and make them accountable and visible in our own communities. Make sure they're visible in your communities. Make sure they're working in your communities. Make sure that when you elect someone at the next election, if it's small, big, every election, go to one and vote for somebody. Make your voice heard. Make your presence heard. You have that right. Some people think our votes aren't count. I believe they are. I say this. Every election that is in your area, go to it. And make sure that the people that you're voting for have been visible, accountable, and you've had conversation with them. Because that's what I do. I'm going to tell y'all the truth. Some people just don't like me coming into the government building. They're like, here he comes. Here he comes. Here he comes. We know who he is. That little short man with the piercing in his nose with a tie on. Here he comes. Bald head little man. They know it. They know it. And I'll ask questions and they're like, why today? I've had one of them say, look, not today. Look, it is today. What is the story?
Amen, amen. But I know it's real late now. I know you said you wanted to get off at 7:45.
Well, it's not going to work. My meeting was canceled till tomorrow. I just found out. I stay busy. They know it, so they just canceled for tomorrow. So we'll do tomorrow. So we can stay on as long until Facebook decides they're gonna black me out like they do everybody else. But let me see who else we got on here, because I know everybody wants to talk. Claudette wants to come. Claudette.
Okay, please.
She wanted to come on. Well, Claudette wanted to come on, but anybody else want to come on and have conversation? Danielle is here. Erica, I know y'all want to talk now. Who said I've been wanting to? Somebody said I've been wanting to. I didn't see that.
I'm gonna get off. Thank you.
You're gonna get off? Thank you, darling. Y'all hear that? I said thank you, darling. Like a little boy. Okay. Jules, did you want to come on? Oh, you've been wanting to do an Angry Black Man live for a long time. Angry Black Man tonight, Jules. That's just not going to work, Jules, now. Don't let me have to come over there and spank you for nothing. Anybody else want to come on and have conversation? This is the brother conversation for our brothers to come in and discuss trans men, discuss who we are, where we are, who, what, when, and why. Have conversation, get to know us. I'm speaking on my experiences, my knowledge. My brothers are welcome to come in as well to speak on their knowledge as well. This is for our trans men space. I want people to, we're doing this every other Monday, first and third Monday, so people can get to know us as who we are. I'm making the space for our trans men. Hopefully they'll catch on. Some are working, they're not able to, I know that. But this is a space where sisters can talk with us, learn with us, grow with us, and our cisgender community can learn and grow with us as well. It's the only way we are going to make a change, is working together, learning together, growing together. This is Realness and Reality show. We always do something to empower grow, encourage, and also enlighten each other and allow us to be wiser, smarter, and fed. Let's see. Anybody else want to come on? I see we got somebody want to come on. Who might that be? Jules. Jules got a lot to say today. We're gonna Jules is on the roll. Come on in the house, Jules. We're waiting on you. So we're learning from each other, sharing questions on my topics that I'm answering. Jules, how are you doing? Now, Jules,
Brother,
act nice. Don't be no angry black man tonight. Don't you do it.
not tonight. I'm not. I ain't trying to get you blocked, bro. Nah. No, but I've been listening to a lot of things you're saying. I've been kind of watching. This is my first time really getting a chance to be on your show and your space, and I want to say thank you for allowing me that time.
Yeah.
I've been hearing a lot from both sides what you and Michaela have been talking about as far as things in the trans community that maybe need some improvement, maybe things that you agree or disagree on. And I did speak some things in the comments, and you know, like I say, I say, with the utmost respect, I hear what you're saying, but I agree and I disagree with some things.
Right.
'Cause at the end of the day, you as a trans man is not going to garner as much attention throughout your transition as a trans woman, because like Michaela said, when a woman is transitioning from male, she's subtracting. So she's trying to minimize all of her masculine secondary sex characteristics to create that image of a woman. So a lot of trans women tend to do more, like you say, because of the dysphoria. So that's why you see a lot of women, that go out and get the silicone and get the hip implants and the butt implants, and they do this. They have almost like this cartoonish, accentuated image of what the ideal woman is. Whereas you as a trans man, like you said, and this coming off your own lips, you said that testosterone would change you overnight, and I believe that. Like, I believe after a few weeks, on testosterone, and I don't know this from perception. Actually, let me tell you a funny story. I went to a meeting with my friend Monica, and we were in there with a bunch of trans men and one trans lady. And it's funny that the trans men actually thought that I was a trans man and
You
she
look
was a
like one,
cisgender woman.
Jules. You look like a trans man.
I know this just me. I almost wanted to play that card as a social experiment, but I'm like, nah, I can't do that. To me, that seemed like it would be disrespectful with, to real trans men. So
Yeah, we would have.
but I know I have that.
We would have came after you and beat you up and everything. After that, we would have beat you up on Facebook. Hey, he's a faker. We ain't gonna do that. No, we're not gonna do that. But let me say something to you on that. Let me piggyback on what you just began to say. I didn't speak about some things that we have to do. What you see here is what the medicine has done. But if I show you a picture of what I looked like prior to, you would say, okay, I have had to go to the gym, work on my body, change my wardrobe. I've had to use a packer, which is a prosthesis penis, and wear that. I've had to hide my breast for 4 years, which is unhealthy for us.
Yeah.
I've had to do a lot, which we all do, and there are some trans men that are very top heavy that cannot bind. So
yeah, and I mean, like I say,
yeah.
I know it's not necessarily. I don't want to say it's easy, but I guess compared to what trans women do, it's easier. I guess
I don't.
to blend.
I'm gonna beg to differ, because for me to get up every day and put a binder on that's tight as fuck, and excuse my language, tight as hell, and I have asthma and can't breathe, it's not easy, because now I can't have the life I need to have. For me, I can't go swimming. See, I was a water baby, okay? So I couldn't swim for 30-something years. I couldn't go to a public swimming pool and swim. I couldn't do the things that I so desired as a trans man in motion. Okay, so there are a lot of things that we have to sacrifice to do that we enjoy, that we were able to do in female bodies that we can't do. So it might appear to be easier, but it's just as much hard for us as it is. Some places we can't step into, some places we can step into. For us, a lot of trans men, I'm getting a lot of feedback from you. You must have your air conditioner on. You have your air conditioner?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's hot in Texas.
I'm
It's hot
sorry.
in Texas.
For trans men, we lose, here we go now, a lot of people don't realize this, we lose family faster than some trans women will lose. We lose our family, our immediate family. So now we're out here struggling to live just like a trans woman is out here to live. You know what I'm saying? But we have to do at best. The problem with us is that we don't want to be identified as gay or lesbian because that's not where we fall under. So we have to basically disconnect our lives away from the gay community and LGBT community. So now we're actually alone. A lot of us are by ourselves. A lot of us are living, so when they say self, we're living private lives because we fear for our lives. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We fear for our lives.
Well, like I said, I wasn't trying to like minimize what you're saying.
No, but I want
honestly,
people to understand that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what it's like to walk in your shoes. I don't claim.
I'll give you a prime
I try to
example.
find myself as somewhat of an empath.
Right.
And I know there's some experiences that whether you're a trans man or you're a trans woman, you're going to experience that.
I'll give you a prime example. Young man got on here by the name of Marlon. I don't know if that's his name or not. I don't know if you were here earlier. Marlon is running from the law because he's wanted for crime or something of a sort. He doesn't know what to do with himself because he's a trans man scared. He's scared.
I can understand.
Scared. He's scared as a trans man that's still female body. I don't know if Marlon has his chest still. I don't know if Marlon has what. But Marlon is scared. I'm scared for Marlon. Because my feeling is when Marlon gets picked up, who's to say what will happen to Marlon?
Yeah, I know. One thing I know for sure, and I think probably jail is more of a anxiety for trans people in general than I think it is. I mean, jail is a scary place, period. And most people might not know. I had some experience from the inside, but you know, I try to put that behind me. But I know it's scary for a cisgender person. So for a person that, you know, has a questionable gender identity, not personally, you know what you are, but the law and the powers that be, you know, have to categorize you and classify you how they see you.
Not how they see you.
But
Jewel, it's not how they see you. It's your documentation. And if his documentation has been changed already, he's going to have a hard time. Like mine is gendered male. So I would be put in a male cell. But if it was female, I would be put in a female cell. And I think that's what Marlon's scared, is that he's going to end up in a male cell.
They probably would put him, I'm thinking they probably put him in segregation.
Some places don't have segregation. No. Some places don't even have that.
And that's possible too, you know, if you put in general population, you know, there's no telling. And I can understand that anxiety. Like I say, you know, it's nerve-wracking for a cisgender person. So
that's why I'm saying, this is why I'm saying, yes, our sisters go through a lot as they transition, but we go through a lot as well. People don't realize that as trans men, sexually transmitted diseases, we're a higher risk because, you know, like trans women are, we're at a higher risk for a lot of stuff. For example, a trans woman may carry chlamydia or something else that should be revealed. We reveal it because of the weakness. We're more at risk for a lot.
That makes sense.
Okay, we're also at risk for cervical cancer. We're at risk for breast cancer. And our medicine that we take, our testosterone, puts us at that risk. So we're more at risk for breast cancer even after top surgery.
Right. Yeah.
So there's a lot more we have to deal with as well because of our bodies being born female gendered.
Right. That's because female bodies do have a lot of things
Yeah, a lot
going
of
on.
complications, yeah. But
I want to
I mean,
speak on something.
we all go through
I
it.
want to speak. Oh,
That,
yeah. I wanted to speak on something real quick, like you said, with trans men. Like, what I was saying is that, you know, in most cases, I would be more than happy to, you know, to talk to a brother like yourself and pick your brain and, you know, maybe see what your day-to-day struggles are. But the fact of the matter is that most trans men like yourself, you know, hardly go noticed in the public eye. So it's really like outside of this realm, this, because you've revealed yourself to me. Outside of this world, I would probably see you in public and not think, no, I don't know if you're short. You know, how tall are you? Like
I'm
5'6"
short.
or
I'm
something? Like that?
5'1.5", 2, 5'2". I'm really 6 foot. I tell people
Okay,
6
well,
foot.
I'm a fifth man, and I would just look at you and say, oh, another short man like myself. I wouldn't think nothing of it. I wouldn't say, oh, that must be a trans man. But with the sisters, what I'm looking at, and like I say, with all due respect to both struggles, I think trans women have more of a public perception problem than trans men.
Well,
When they're talking
I,
about,
I think a lot of it, Jules, is because on the average, a woman's height is between 3 feet, an average to a good 5'7", and a man's natural born man, male body individual, their height can go from 3 feet to 7'2". So when you have a woman that's taller than you, and you're a 6 foot man, or even, you don't have many tall women in this world, unless they're from the small community.
outside of the modeling world.
Right. So that's why.
That's what I'm saying from a public perception standpoint. Like, for a trans man, you know, but, you know, I mean, okay, going back to what you say, you have the binder. That's a female trait you have to suppress. So that's part of the I guess that's your struggle, having to put that binder on, you know. But for a trans woman, and I'm not really minimizing, I'm just saying a trans woman has to hide her 5 o'clock shadow. She has to try to camouflage her jawline if she has a masculine jawline. She has to put on the appearance, some women may do more, of having breasts if she doesn't have breasts. She might pad her butt if she is like kind of, you know, on the skinnier side. So, you know, they have to subtract, but they do have to add a lot. But you know, I don't want to go back and forth on that debate with you. I'm just saying I know because
yeah, I understand what you're saying, but just like trans men,
right.
A lot of them have hips, so they've got to make sure their pants do not look like women in pants.
Right, exactly. But I guess from a public perception, like I said, you know, and David could attest to this also, like, you know, I had a gay friend. He had a female, well, he had a sister. She was very, very studly, you know. I thought she was a boy at first. Like,
Right.
I thought she was a whole boy, because she had a short haircut. I mean, she didn't have any facial hair, but I mean, she was already flat chested and small. She just looked like a small guy, you know. So if she wanted to transition to be a trans man, she wouldn't have to do much. Now, for somebody like her, it probably would be a different struggle. But if she was to walk in the men's bathroom, I wouldn't have given it a second thought. So I'm just saying, whenever they talk about these bathroom laws and stuff like that, they're usually targeting the trans women more than they are targeting the
I
trans
don't
men. They
think they.
always, the tagline is always,
I just think they targeting. I just really think it's not even targeting anybody. It's just a way to cover up the other laws that they're trying to put in, sneak in. I mean, they're trying to make sure that there's discrimination, age discrimination for employment, and other reasons and stuff. That's what the cover up is. So I believe that these bathroom laws, we all know it's just a facade to cover up the BS that that they're trying to get away with.
right.
They're just trying to bring back some old Jim Crow laws, and they're using that as an excuse.
And you know what? Unfortunately, I'm gonna get off the trans issue for a moment. That goes back to what I was like, my angry black man rant. That's exactly why the fuck I was so, oh, excuse my language, I don't know, but that's why I was so pissed off. And every day, I talk to my mother about this because she's a very politically charged person, and that's why I was so pissed off when all these people decided to sit out the election because, oh, I don't have a dog in this race. I'm just gonna sit this one out, or I'm gonna say,
Right.
I'm not gonna say who, but somebody here voted for Donald Trump, and I'm like, why did you do that? That was like not the right issue.
Right.
But I mean, they of course they regret it, but still, I mean, they had so much riding on it, so now you're seeing it come to fruition with this Supreme Court seat opening up. That's the main thing that people forget about when they think about government. I say, well, they'll be out in 4 years or they'll be out in 8 years. But the thing about it, you don't understand, when you elect a president of such low moral character, you're also opening the gate for this person to bring other people of low moral character and intolerance into the Supreme Court who can sit there forever until they die. Yes,
But
the election
see, here's our
officials will be
problem.
gone in 8
Here's
years.
our problem. Okay, and I love my sisters, but a lot of our sisters cannot vote because they have a felon. Did you know that?
But okay,
Our numbers
yeah,
in our black community,
that does.
yeah, it affects us because we can make as much change as we can, but we can't make the change like we want even in our own community of trans people because we don't have the numbers that we really need to pull together. And that's and
I think we have the numbers.
yeah, a lot of people see that's why I love my sisters, but I hate the fact that they're losing out on opportunity of the American dream because of a lot of things. So we have got to, that's why I've worked so hard to bringing the black transgender community together so we can fight against the messiness that's keeping us separate and unable to do what we need to do in our own community.
Well, I say this because I had a situation where I was ineligible to vote one year. It was 2012. And you know what I did? What I did was I found the local phone bank. I got on those phones and I started calling people. Hell, maybe I can't vote, but if I can invoke one or two other people to vote, to me that's like, vicariously voting. So there's other ways you can get involved in the political process besides voting in ways of influencing people who are non-felon, able-bodied, eligible voters that just don't give a damn. The problem with this political system, especially with people who identify with Democrat and progressive values, is the low voter turnout. The problem is these crazy mofos who are racist and xenophobic, they are highly motivated and highly, consistent with their voting record. They don't miss elections. Like you say, go vote at every election. They don't miss elections. That's why they keep winning. Not because they're the majority, not because their voice is that much deeper. And in some cases, it might be because you have gerrymandering where you need a stupid amount of votes from one party to equal up the other party because of the way they've redistrict some of these places like Texas. You have to have it takes a ridiculous amount to even break even. So that's what I'm saying. The reason why a lot of these elections, I feel, are won the way they're won because people just are apathetic and they need to wake up, you know. If you keep going around saying that your vote doesn't count, guess what? 100% of the chance you're right, because you didn't even try to figure it out. And it's not, I mean, like, respect to the people you say that have lost their right because they're felon. Here in Texas, you can vote if you're a felon. So that can't be an excuse in Texas.
I think in most states, like Claudette said, there's things about the law that need to be taught in our own community. And that's why, here's my plug, y'all. You ready? That's why there's an organization that I'm the executive director. I will say it. I'm the executive director of affairs, and it's called Fifth Avenue Alliance, LGBTESAP, Transgender Stability Assistance Project. It is educating our community and helping our community with legal assistance, education, housing, employment, health and wellness, so that we can go forward and be stable without having life crisis and going backwards into risk that avoid us to have the possibility of having the life that we desire to have with instability. So that's my plug for tonight. That's why Fifth Avenue is doing what it's doing in the state of North Carolina, and hopes to get 51 states involved in that organization as well and take over a little bit in the South. So that's my plug. I'm done.
And hopefully, you know, it does gain some ground so that you can really educate the people.
Right.
But I guess that's one of my biggest pet peeves. It's not the people that want to vote that can't. It's the people that can vote but refuse to. I feel like the way the system is set up, it's really kind of backwards, because you have to do jury duty, right? But who wants to do jury duty? Nobody really. But it's only, I've read that, I've noticed this in civics. They have what you call duty and responsibility. Well, I think it's one of those ways. But anyway, jury duty as being a duty, they can arrest you for not participating. Whereas voting is a responsibility where it's voluntary, but if you contribute to it, then it'll do you better in the long run.
Right.
And I think that should be reversed. I think that jury duty should be voluntary, because there's people, let's say, like, okay, if you have a job and you have to do jury duty, you have to take off of your job to go to jury duty. There are people out there who are unemployed, maybe have nothing better to do. They might be career jurors. You know what I'm saying? They could have a job in that and a career in that, but they don't want to do that. You give somebody an income that they didn't have for being a juror. Okay, whereas it should be some type of penalty or some type of fine or something for not voting. I think it should be the opposite.
Right.
I think if people started being penalized for not voting.
I got you. That's something we can talk about another day. And I understand that.
Yeah, I don't want to get too deep in that, but it's
you about to
definitely
hijack me. You about to hijack me, Jules. Now I'm gonna have to get on you now.
Okay, let me get up off this live, because I know I done definitely hijacked you. Oh, by the way, Miss Claudette Glaze, since you watching, I've been trying to add you as a friend for the longest, but I don't know if your inbox is full. Please add me as a friend, because I love your lives and I always listen to what you're talking about, and you come from a place of experience and genuinely seem like a good person. I've been watching you for a couple of years now. Please add me as a friend. That's my plug, you know.
All right.
For Miss Claudette Glaze, because she's always full of knowledge, you know, and I always have.
We love Claudette. Yes, we do. We love her.
Of a certain age.
All right. Well, everybody, keep sharing this. Thank you for being on with us, Brother Jules. We will talk to you later. Tomorrow night might be a deeper discussion for you to call in on the blog, because we get into politics on the blog, on the radio. So yeah, do that.
All right. I'll see if I'm not preoccupied. I try to get off Facebook, but I always get sucked back in like a vortex.
All right, take care.
All right. You too, sir.
All right.
All right.
That was Brother Jules. As we saw, he hijacked me a little bit, but that's okay. He had a vote, but it's something to put in your ear to think about. I just want to come in, have discussion. I think we had some good topics tonight. And this is the topic tonight is it's a trans man space convo, brother for brother. We invite everybody to come in. Feel free to share, listen, chime in, learn, ask questions. are who we are, and we're here to share. And that's what this space is. Every other Monday, first and third Monday of the month, we will be doing this under the Realness and Reality Facebook Live channel. And so folks can come in and learn more about trans men, who we are, how we think, how we feel, because you hear so much about the trans women, and I love my trans sisters to death. But you've got to hear from us as well and share with us thought of where we're at in our community as brothers, and learn so that you can go back and educate your family, friends. So if you got a share button, please hit the share button. I'm going to stay here for another maybe 9:30. We'll stay until 9:30, and then we'll come back the following Monday, first and third Monday of each month. We'll have that topic, but stay on tonight till 9:30. So if there's anybody who want to chime in, have some conversation on this topic, have a question, have a concern about trans men, a question about trans men, feel free to chime in. I'm offering you to do that. Claudette said, so do you think that trans men and trans women really don't have the same struggles? Oh, but love me to live. We have different struggles and complicated struggles and very challenging struggles. They may not happen at the same time, the same passageway, but our journeys are a hard journey. We all have a separate journey, but everyone's journey is going to be different. But I know for a fact, as trans men and trans women, we have a hard journey. You know, we all have a different way of walking that journey, and how successful that journey is for each individually separate. Did I answer that question, Miss Claudette? I love Miss Claudette. Like I tell everybody, in my world, I believe that we're all here to accept difference. We're not brought in this world to agree. We're brought in this world to accept difference and learn from each other. We may never agree. Down the line, we might remember what someone said that you didn't agree with, and enlighten yourself and empower yourself and allow your brain to grow. Miss Claudette, now don't come in here spanking me. You know I love you to death. Don't spank. Don't beat me up, Miss Claudette. Don't do it. I know you want to talk with me, but don't beat me up. I add you already, though. Please accept my ad. Now, if you scare me, I'm going to run away from the
No,
phone.
that's not what I was going to do. But
Where'd you
but I
go,
would like,
Claudette? I'm kidding. Okay.
I'm
Go
right
ahead.
here.
Okay.
I would like for you to do one thing for me. This is off the record. Instead of telling people that you love them to death, love them to live. Now,
I love them
with
to
that being
death.
said, oh, that's good. As long as I'm alive, love me, baby, and even love me after I'm passed over. I know that's right, because I'm going to
Yeah.
love you too. But now, listen, I want to go back to something that was said earlier about the spaces of trans people. But before I go there, I want to address this. Just as in your space of being a man, a transsexual man, um, and I'm only saying those particular terms for the sake of vlogs for other people that are watching, okay? Because
Right.
I
Right.
don't necessarily believe in the word transsexual. It's either you're a man or
No,
either you're a woman.
yeah,
That's
because
just what I believe.
I'm gonna say this. Don't lose your thought, because I identified as gendered male. I am a legal gendered male by documentation, by transgender experience. That's a lot to say. So I normally just, when people say, so, well, yeah, I'm a man. I mean, I just tell, I'm a man.
Absolutely.
I'm a man.
Absolutely.
You're not going to tell me no different. Society even says, well, I can't believe you're trans. You're a man. They don't even want to admit the fact that I'm trans. People don't believe I'm trans.
Absolutely.
I'm like, well, face value,
Absolutely.
I will take your face value and run.
Absolutely. And I can agree to that. And I also too live that life that you're speaking of, even at the age of 50. So now I'm gonna go back to what I was saying. When even in your transsexual space, there's different types of men. First off, and this is just my observation, You know how we call them the lesbians. The lesbians are usually, we would say, the lipstick girls, who don't have any thoughts of transitioning over to the opposite gender.
Right.
Then when we talk about, now I'm going to do the comparison of what made me ask you that question when I said in the comments that you don't think that we have the same type of a struggles and the same type of a issues from a woman's perspective, from a man's perspective. Okay. Then you have your studs, is what you explained earlier, is what you call them. Those are the ones who don't desire to actually transition themselves. Now that's what we call that over here would be our cross dressers. Now, then moving on
I do
from,
too. I call them cross dressers too.
absolutely,
They
but
get
hold on,
they get
let
mad
me get to
when I
my
call them
final
cross.
point. Let me get
Okay.
to my final point, and I'm breaking it down like this just so that we can get a better understanding of exactly what it is that I'm saying. So then now, after we have our studs, we have our transgender men. Transgender men would be the ones who would, uh, how can I say it, only dress themselves every day and present themselves as a man, and then they may possibly get the facial hair that they, no, wait a minute, brother, because see, you're different from that person too, and let me tell you why. Just hear me out.
You're
When
talking about
they
FTMs.
So when you get the no, hold on, no, I'm not. So when you get these particular guys who will, aesthetically put these things on themselves and begin to binary themselves down, that would be considered the transgender man in your community. But now a transsexual man in your community, I don't know if you have your top surgery. I don't know what you have done, but if you have had your top surgery, you would no longer be a transgender. That's an umbrella term. You would be considered a transsexual man. And
Right.
just like over, and you see my point now, just like over on my side of the fence as being a woman, when you said earlier that, I think it was either you or Michaela said something about the how we still pick each other apart over here. The difference between the man side of it is you guys are not as, you guys wouldn't be catty because you're men. So you don't pick, men don't sit and I'm more man than you and nigga I'm more man.
Oh
Men
no,
don't
we
do
do
that.
it. We do it. We do it privately.
Let, okay, and I can agree to that too, but and I was going to get to that too. Just hold on. Now, as to where over here, when Michaela was speaking about how we as trans women will pick a girl apart, and this is because over here you get the feminine cattiness that cisgender women are because we're women.
Right.
And that's just what we do. But then when you have a transgender person trying to make herself be a transsexual woman, when a transsexual woman is refusing, just like in your space, the two, is refusing to accept the fact that we're not the same. Girl, although I can respect you as what I see, but when it comes down to it, you're not a transsexual woman. You fall underneath that umbrella transgender, just like in your community, it is the exact same thing. Now, when you speak on you guys do things more privately, I'm not going to necessarily say more privately. I just going to say that you guys are just starting to be seen more. So then, or just now starting to be more visible versus to where trans women has always been visible. So
That's true.
I don't think that it's really a, you guys do it in secrecy. I think it's just now starting to be seen. And as you said, you use the word stealth and secrecy, um, because how you said you pass through, you get by. Well, I know transsexual women. When you said something about you guys have a lesser, I mean, a more, how can I say, a more prosperous life as far as jobs, as far
We have more, not a
as
prosperous.
jobs.
We don't have prosperous. We have we have a more of an opportunity.
See, listen, let me tell you
I
something.
don't want to say it like that. I don't want to say it like that. I said what I said was we tend to gain. I'm going to say this, and I know somebody's going to get me later. We tend to gain some form of male privilege.
Well, let me say this to you when it comes to that, and I do get what you're saying when you say that. However, when we talk about how you said earlier about the advancements in life, and probably because of
Right.
some people may have struggles because of their job or
Right. Right.
their records of jail. I know transsexual women. This falls into how you mentioned about clearing out of a space of the gay people and clearing out of these spaces. Well, I know transsexual women that are doctors, that are lawyers. That hell, there's
I do
one
too.
now that is even in the political stand. She sits on a seat as a
Right.
transsexual woman. She's a Latino woman. So I don't believe that there's a hindrance in who we can become in society. I believe that a lot of trans people, men and the women, simply identify more so with the poverty type of a people that they come from. So let's say if you came from a family where your mom was a lawyer and a doctor, and your mom and your dad pushed education on you, then 9 times out of 10, I believe that that particular trans man will also follow suit in the morals that their families had taught them for education, which means that quite naturally that person will go on to be a more successful person. I'm one of the believers that education makes a difference. Now, when the transgender women's or transsexual women fall into play, if that is, we tend to, and the men too, as I just said, we tend to, if my mom was a lawyer, doctor, a teacher, or whatever, then quite naturally, my mindset wouldn't have been of a poverty woman. Some people just don't know how to even transition within their transition to get away from the poverty that they remembered as children. They don't know how to go from one point to another, to this point to that point, to get away from that. So a lot of this goes back to how you were saying the teaching of our youth, as far as, becoming someone other than a thief, a check writer, a prostitute. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Every time I get on live, everybody wants to jump into my inboxes.
I know it happens
Um,
to me too.
so I think that it is the older trans men and women, just how you said you had the program to teach, and we have to know other things that we have to implement in these teachings that you do as well. That's not only about your transsexualism. We sometimes tend to be so stuck on the transition part of us
Right.
that we have to remember that there's more to transition along with your transition.
Right. 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 And I think that's what happens with trans men is that we see when we weren't visible. Let me say this: when we weren't visible, I remember when I transitioned, there weren't many trans men of color. Now there were some white ones out there, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I watched them, and I'm gonna make you laugh. I watched them because I felt like, okay, now you're taking this medicine. Let me make sure your head don't pop off or your finger don't turn blue, because I'm not gonna take something and then I'm gonna let you be the get. We've been a guinea pig for so many years. I'm gonna let you be a guinea pig. So I watched them and I watched and listened to them, and then they started educating me, and I said, "Oh, okay, this is how you do it." So then, as I began to transition, just like AJ said earlier on in his live, I was the pinnacle of his begin. I was like he didn't know anything about transition. I was one of these pioneers. I wasn't trying to be a pioneer. I was just being visible to let people know there are many of us somewhere out there that are of color. So when I was
Oh, there's a
invited to
lot.
this,
Oh, there's a lot
yeah,
more that's up in age than what you
yeah,
think.
yeah,
It's just that
right.
you
So
just
what
didn't know
happened?
of them because they were in stealth.
We didn't know each other. We didn't look. I was
Absolutely.
a drag king. I'm gonna tell you, I was a drag king, a cross dresser. Back in my day, it was called transvestite. Y'all understand? I'm old.
Mine's
I'm
too.
56.
How
It was
old are you?
transvestite.
You're how
56.
old? Okay, so we would have
56.
still been in the same schooling
Right,
era because
right,
I'm 50, so I
right.
get it.
Right. So I was a trans. I'm gonna call it. I was a transvestite. Okay, I lived my life the way I needed to. So I was doing drag king with other trans men I know now that we lost contact. And when I found them, I said, "You're not so and so. You don't look like her." And they were like, "I'm a trans man." I was like, "Where did you become a trans man?" So you have to understand, we lost contact, but we've molded back together. And I remember when I started meeting more trans men my age, at the time I was evolving, it wasn't many of us out there. So we were basically the
In
pioneers,
your
like yourself.
area, you have to remember, in your area.
No, I'm being honest. I'm being honest.
When I
There
say your
weren't
area,
many.
I mean where you lived.
I was
Because
in Jersey. I was in Jersey, moving to North Carolina, and it wasn't many of us then.
that you knew. Because see, I once was this when okay, I started transitioning back when I was, my mom told me she noticed the difference in me at 9, 10, even younger, but she really knew what it was at 10 and 11. And by 12, I began to dispute all that boy stuff then, and even with my appearance. And
Right,
thank God I had a mother who was accepting, somewhat, and my father somewhat. The thing was, I just couldn't wear a dress. I could do anything I wanted to do. I just couldn't wear a dress.
right,
So, so when you say about the gays and the spaces, well, I didn't start to participate into any of this gay shit until I turned well within my 40s. When someone,
right,
and at that time, I was still taking the hormones and all. Now I don't really do the hormone thing as heavy as I should. So, of course, the
right,
appearance won't be what I know that it could be. So, I kind of lessen that now. But I didn't get into those spaces until I became 40. And that was when someone, I went in and cashed my check at a check cashing place, and there was a prodigy behind that was doing it. And then he heard me talking on the phone, and I was talking about a known entertainer, Raquel Lord, was coming to town. And when he
right.
heard that conversation, he said, I don't mean to be rude, ma'am, but can I ask you a question? And the way his face expression, what I knew what was coming, and I realized the conversation I was having. Then he said, "Well, are you a trans woman?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Oh, bitch, you would be in coins, bitch, you could bring trophies. Have you ever heard of the ballroom scene?" Now, I kind of had heard of it. That's your same story that you said, right? Earlier. When you
I
said
knew
that
I
someone
never
told
done
you
the
about it.
ballroom. I
Well,
never
see,
did the
I
ballroom.
didn't either until 40. When somebody told me about money, I'm always a money hungry bitch. So I jumped into that scene. And all while I was there, when I was in those spaces of those gay people,
Right,
even some of the uh, femme queens is what they call them, who presents themselves as women who are breathtakingly beautiful women. Some of them, and it's no shade to anybody because you are who you are, and I don't judge anybody based on,
right.
some of them to me still reminded me of a gay man, which is okay if that's what you choose to act like.
Hmm.
However, when you said about moving yourselves from these spaces, every time I would be there, I would be sitting there like this. What the fuck am I doing here? You
Yeah,
know what I mean? So,
yeah. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. And somebody said to me, "Do you go to the clubs anymore?" No, I don't have no need to go to a gay bar. But I'll
and
work
see,
at a gay bar. But if you're gonna pay me some coin to work the
it's
door,
about the money at that point, and that's
it's
fine
about the
because you're
money.
there,
That's
because
it.
you are there as a cisgender man at that point, because that's what you identify. You don't identify as transsexual man, you
Right.
identify with cisgender man. So of course you can be in that space of being the man who security is the place, or who, you get what
And
I'm
I'm an
saying, who,
MC. If I DJ, look. I just want the look. I'm there for the pocket change. I'm just gonna tell you like it
and I
is.
get it,
I'm there. I'm
and I
there
get it.
to market Flex Jones, and
And
everything
that was
Flex
the
Jones.
one reason. And to elaborate to what you were saying earlier, when you said don't need to be in these spaces, that was the breaking point for me. When every time I went, I enjoyed winning my trophy and winning my cash, of course, but I didn't enjoy after I came off the stage, and now it's time to mingle and mix because there's no one there for me. Our conversations is different. Everything
Right.
about was totally different. So I get what you're saying when you say that. But now here's the ironic part of this. When I put myself in a place of a cisgender bar, I fit right in.
Yep.
There's no tea, there's no shade. The only time that the problem comes about, now this goes to the conversation that Michaela was having. The difference in the way that once you reveal who you are to a cisgender male versus to when you reveal yourself. And I think the reason that we get it so hard on that is because we're still looked at as the feminine part. And men always believe that they can dominate a woman. So when we begin to reveal our true selves, yeah, they know male, but they see woman, and that's what they treat us as at that moment. I'm gonna dominate the fuck out of you, bitch. Who the fuck you think you is? So now that masculinity part of them know that they can take over our femininity, even when they know that we have the penises down below. So I get that, and I think the reason why most trans men don't experience that, like you said, now I was agreeing with you on this when you said it's your appearance of a man. No woman is going to challenge a man. I shouldn't say none because I know some sisters out here that would get with a man, but for the
I know
most
some
part,
right.
oh
Yeah.
yes, but for the most part. So I get exactly the whole thing. That's why I don't think that there's really too much of a difference. Even how when you talked about the silicone part of it, well, back in that day, me being an older girl, you don't see the girls with these deformities of age from back then
No.
who laid on the tables and got this same bootleg silicone jobs. I think that money, the root of all evil, is what changed that concept of girls being able to do black market surgery. Now, when I say that, even now today, I believe this today. Now, I have to be honest with myself. If they had what they have available now, today, back then, I would have taken the route of what they have today, period. But back then,
We didn't have
all
things.
of this,
We didn't have
all these things,
things. I mean,
right? And my quest
it's
to
like
for
it's like
that.
it's like me when I started. I was duct taping and ace bandaging and all that. So that's why I'm
Now you can
saying
just go buy a thing to put on.
put bind to put it on, and boom, you good. And I was, and then when I hear these trans men that had their surgeries before me, I'm like, well, what the hell? But then again, I was a struggling person. My mother booted me out at 16, so I had to make it in life. So my credit, like most older trans men, our credit went to crap at Sears credit card. You know,
And the cable bill when no,
the
back then it
cable
was
bill,
on
yeah.
TV.
So yeah, so we had to fend and get our surgeries after we paid those bills off. So if we were younger and it was more available, I'm quite sure I would have gotten a loan, had my surgery, and it would have been done.
As to where the easiness for the transgender woman, because we add on and not take away, we were able back then, it was safe to do. We were able to
Right,
go, girl, I need breasts. Girl, I need some hips.
right.
We were able to do that back then. So I do see the slightness difference in
Because we
the
didn't have
transition
surgeries.
itself.
We didn't have the right surgeons doing our top surgeries. Many of us lived forever dying with bounding because we didn't even have surgeons to do our surgery. When the girls probably could have got breasts, we couldn't even get rid of our chest. So
Now, let me ask you a question because even back then, it was surgeons who removed breast, but was it they didn't remove the breast for the purpose of you transitioning from female to male? Or just like how back then there were implants available, they just wasn't offered to trans women back then. So,
um,
do you think that would have been
the
the same
doctors
scenario that
wouldn't. I think that was part of it, and some doctors weren't experienced enough to sculpture our chest. I've got a doctor that's been doing it
okay,
for
after
36
removing the
years.
breast, you mean? Okay, the
Yeah,
breast.
they did. The
Okay,
the
I get you.
idea of how to do it was not there. It's like the bottom surgery. That's finally they got that together for the women. They slowly getting it together for the guys, but it's just not perfected for us yet. But we got it. You know,
Well, because now my older sex change girlfriends who got their sex changes way back then, me remembering what theirs looked like then, when I see the ones now, I'm like, bitch, I'm glad I waited for the ones that they have now, because it's just
yeah.
like an evolving thing. And I think when it comes to the transitioning part of the sex for trans men, I think that
It's
is still well
evolving.
behind, and it's still
But it's
evolving now as
evolving.
to
It's
where.
better. Look, it was better than look. I've seen some that were done years ago, and they look like a sausage that was beat up in the corner. You know, so I'm just saying that it's evolving. It's getting there slowly but surely, and it just takes time. I think it depends on the era of your transition. You and I come from the old school generation, and now as I look at these new trans men and trans women coming upon, I mean, these young trans women start at the age of 12 now, maybe 16.
On
And
their hormones, yes.
yes, to the point where it's just slowly, they got blockers. I know trans women now at 21 that have gone to college, they have a degree. Back then it was harder for us because a lot of us would have been
Absolutely.
booted out of home. But a lot of trans men
Absolutely.
and women have the support of family because the information is out there. So I'm going to
Now.
say now, yes, I'm going to say this, that the struggle I'm talking about is back in the day struggle. But we as a community, I think we got to get it together. We really got it to get together. And I think the reason a lot of older trans men have slowly walked away, they're tired of being abused by their own trans men community.
See, now that's something I wouldn't understand, me not being in that community, unless if it would be the same abuse that we older trans women get from the younger trans women for the surgeries that we attained back then. Because there's a
I
lot of
think a
young
lot
trans
of
people.
ours, I think a lot of us is that we would mentor a lot of trans men that are younger. We would be their mentor, do what we have to do to get them through their transition. And once they got on their little high horse of getting their top surgery and their medicine, oh, they talk crap about us. They don't like us. They lie on us. Even if we helped you have a place to stay, lay your head, a lot of us go through it. We are mistreated. We are abused by our young generation. And it's gotten to a point now where a lot of the established trans men like myself, I still reach out, but not as much like I used to, because I've helped people have a place to lay their head so they could go get their surgery. I've been there for them for their surgeries, but no, have them talk about flex. I'm an asshole is what they call me.
Well, and I get that too, because hell, I have dilated girls for JJ, but let other girls tell it, oh, Miss Tanisha's an old, bitter, jaded bitch. No, I am there for the girls who are there for the same reason that I existed. But now when you're coming around and you're planning this today, and a lot of things for me, I tell a lot of people, and I just noticed in the comments, someone made a reference to a girl named Ari Lee Iman. I don't, I may know her through social media, but I don't have a visual. Beauty does not define realness. You have people who can be drop dead gorgeous and still will be looked at as trans woman. You have a girl that can be butt fucking ugly and she'll get by before that pretty girl will. So the look of pretty and ugly and cute has nothing to do with longeviness in your transition. Some people just have different bone structures than others, so that has nothing to do with the transition. And
Right.
that's a lot of the people's problem, even with the trans men. The ones who, when you get women like me, they'll respect one that they're attracted to as a man before they will somebody they look at and say, ew. Even though that person can look exactly like a man, can be the
Mm.
man that he's started to be. But because of people are just so visual on pretty and ugly nowadays, this is the reason why that, I guess how you said earlier, that bashing of one another goes on because everyone is sorting after to be this world
Right.
look, the magazine look, even in the trans men's community. I want the buffed up body. I want to be the masculine, the jock of the era, kind of thing. And then
Right.
the trans woman, oh, I want to be the Barbie doll girl, or I want to. And then when you have the girls that don't reach that level, and the men who don't reach that level, there's where the conflict come in at. When bitch, you who you are, girl, and you who you are, sir. So don't take your enviness of one's, you know, I'm the jock male, make you feel any less of, you just being, the guy who would have been considered the guy in school that couldn't pull all the girls, and vice versa with the trans women. And I think there's where that underlying immaturity level of transitioning still exists, I guess is cool
Right,
to say.
right, right,
None of this is
right.
defined based off of any of that, because at the end, I'm sorry, I had a call, because
Stop calling her. She's talking
at
to
the
me.
end of the day, right, because at the end of the day, it boils down to, you can be any type of woman that you want to be. When I go home and I play with my little nieces and nephews, my nephew may say, Amy, could you come outside and play with me? Now, I know when I go play with my nephew, I have to tell him, nephew, you're going to have to teach me how to throw this ball. But
Right.
he'll say, you hold it right here. And the next thing you know, I know how to throw a football now. That doesn't take away from my womanhood. Just
No,
like,
no.
but you have that goes back into when you and Michaela had that conversation just a minute ago about what a woman is supposed to do. You're supposed to be the cooker, the cleaner, and you're supposed to be. No, you have different type of
No,
women, just
that
as you
that
have
and that
different
all
type of
that
men.
goes back right, and that's when I before she came on, I was talking about how being the man that I am, I had sat down and said to myself, now you're gonna do this. What image of a man do you desire to be? Not what you
Absolutely.
desire, not what you want to imitate or implement, or what do you desire to be? And I took that idea of the man I desire to be, and I keep the qualities of my
Right,
feminine
Ari.
and my masculine side. I kept those qualities because I knew I was she, he, we. And because of that, I got rid of the negative qualities that she carried with he to we.
I get that. I understand that. As to verse, like in my situation of being a woman, women nowadays are no longer a scripted, is no longer live by a script that you're supposed to follow to be considered a woman.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Now, I'm an old
Oh, I
fashioned
got
woman,
it.
so I want to cook, I want to clean, I want to do the traditional grandma style cooking and all those
Right.
things. But then I also know trans men who can get in that kitchen and slay. Okay, well, I've never tasted your cooking, but then one of my brothers, Razor, he amazing chef, and some of the top chefs in the world are what? Men.
Men,
So
right.
we have to stop trying to portray one particular gender as must living a certain way, as you said. If you want to get up today and go make a fucking blanket or make a fucking gown, or doesn't make you any less of a man, because we are not defined over the things that we know how to do. We are simply defined over who we are.
Right.
And does that make sense? What I'm saying?
Oh, it makes 100%
Yeah.
because in my family, I cannot sew, but all the men in my family sew.
You see what I mean? And in my family, if I do something that would be considered masculine, I'll have to check one of my cisgender biological sisters to tell her, bitch, and it don't make me any less of a woman because I learned how to throw a football. Or because I know how to hang up a
Right.
picture, or because I can put the bed together.
Right.
So
Right.
these are the things that we have to teach our youth. There's no certain way to be. You either are or you're not. That would be just like I can get a whole sex change, you can get a whole sex change, and you may want a man at that point. We don't know. Our sexuality doesn't,
Doesn't define us.
right, as our gender, as our sex, or our gender, I should say, because I can get a whole sex change and then be with a female after I get a
Right.
vagina. And when I say
Right.
female, I'm talking a lipstick girl, but that doesn't make me any less of that woman. But my sisters would say, why would she get a sex change to go be with a female? Well, maybe I identified all the time as a lesbian woman. You don't know that.
Yep. Well, Miss Claudette, I thank you for coming on.
Thank you
We
for
do this
having me.
we do this every other Monday, and it's Transman Space and conversation to get to know who we are. And since everybody's learning to know the women, and y'all know all the women now, get to know us. And just having you here, it allows people to see the
Well,
differences and
I love the
conversations.
fact that I am meeting the men of my community because, like you said, for so many years, I didn't even know that there were men in my community that was of
Right.
trans. And if I did know them, I didn't know that they were. So, yeah,
Right.
I'm glad that you guys are coming to the forefronts now so that I know that I do have a man in my community. It's not all
Well,
women
I'm
in this
here.
community. Right.
I'm
And I
here.
get that. And now I want you to also put the organization, if you will, on
I
my
will.
page for all of the younger trans men who are on my page that I just discovered was trans men too. So
Okay.
who don't
I'll
have
share that.
the
I will
places and
share
the
that.
places to go for you. Thank you, honey, and you have a good
Thank
day.
you.
And guess what? I love you to live, brother.
I love you forever.
Thank you.
Good night, Miss
See you guys.
Claudette.
See everybody later.
All right. Thank
I
you,
don't know how to
everybody.
disconnect.
You sound like me. I had to learn it too. Thank you, everybody, for coming on the Realness Reality Show, Brother for Brother Conversation. This is a space for trans men on the first and third Monday of each month. Myself and but this is a space for us to come in, talk, chime in, learn about us, ask questions, get to know who we are, where we're going, and get to know us as part of the community. And even share some information, comparison. Trans woman, you've learned some things today. We'll be back not next Monday, but the following Monday. But remember, tomorrow night is the Blog Talk Radio at on the Blog Talk Radio. We will send out the advertisement. You can call in tomorrow night at 10 o'clock. Hot Topic Tuesday. We talk about everything politically, community, anything to empower and grow us as well. That's on a Blog Talk Radio. You call in on the phone. It's 1-646-668-8561. Look for the advertisement. And then on Wednesday night, we will also have the Sex Tea Talk, which you let your mind go. Let's talk about romance and everything else you need to talk about. That's on Tuesday night. On Wednesday night at 10:30 as well. We'll put those ads out. We thank you all for being here. Thank you for coming through. Thank you, Jules. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, everyone who had conversation with us. And thank you, Mac, for talking as well. For all of you out there, I love you. Stay true. Be real. And remember, if someone says you can't do something, tell them you can because I said so. And this is Flex Jones signing out. I love you. Be real. Stay cool.